am. I'm from Florida. I'm 25 years old. That's just a small introduction. I mean, if you want to know more, but I want to hear more about you. This is about you, not me.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Honestly, first time I've been exposed to your stuff was today. I was just kind of scrolling through shorts, and your like live came up. They've been putting live in shorts now on YouTube, and so I clicked it and was like, oh, who's this guy?
Was it me
And
or was it
started
me
watching.
debating the English guy?
It was just you.
Okay.
You weren't debating anyone. Yeah. And then I went to your Discord, jumped in Discord, had a chat over there, and now we're here. Um, I'm 34. I just turned 34. My birthday was a couple days ago, so
Happy
34.
birthday. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Four kids, uh, lived up, so happy to debate about most subjects. And yeah, so I'll kind of let you guide the conversation. But
Okay, yeah, I'll guide the conversation. So have you been a Democrat all your life, or where's your political, where do you stand politically on the political spectrum? And hello, Burnell, hello, Gigi, hello, everybody. Smash that like button. But where do you land on the political spectrum?
yeah, I had an interesting family. My dad was pretty liberal. My mom was pretty conservative. Just pretty healthy debate in the home growing up. Um, what my grandpa was pretty he's pretty liberal, and so I'd always kind of talk to him about stuff too. Um, but I don't know. I just kind of I was going to school with like during Obama's presidency and stuff, to like high school and stuff, and just kind of I've always been interested in the political conversations and discussions. My immediate family, I have a brother who I talk to pretty much every day that's super MAGA, so I debate a lot with him. And yeah, I don't know.
Pretty
I've
cool,
always
man. Thank
been
you for joining the
open up to that.
community. Thank you for taking your time to join the Discord. I'm sure you'll enjoy it there as long as you're respectful to other people and whatnot. I'm sure you are. You seem like a nice guy. Hello, everybody. Hello, Will. Hello, Bernielle. Hello, everybody. Smash that like button. So you grew up during Obama. I guess you were probably in the live stream when I was talking about millennials. Some of them are the worst liberals. I think, in my opinion, they're obnoxious. You don't seem like one of those types to me, though. Off
No,
the
I
bat.
probably am. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I wasn't there when you were talking about that. What are you were talking about? I don't know. I forgot what you were talking about. Something
I was
you were just
talking
talking
about a
about. I
lot
wasn't
about
making fun
illegal
of people
alien
for being poor.
immigration and transgender stuff, but you already answered that question. So it must have been the illegals that probably triggered you. I don't know if you want to use that word
Yeah,
triggered.
I'll get triggered for whatever. I don't care.
But did
Um,
you get triggered about the illegal immigrants? Is that something that, because Obama supported deportation, is that something that bothered you?
no, no. I mean, look, how you deport people is important. The type of people you deport is important. How you count deportations is important. I feel like conservatives will always talk about like, oh, Obama deported everyone, so Trump's not that bad. And then at the same time, they'll be like, oh, but actually those deportations were just people getting turned around at the border, so he actually didn't deport that many people. Conservatives and liberals too will argue out of both sides of their mouth
I'll
about it.
say that those do count. But at the same time, Trump doesn't count turnaways. He does count self deportations, though.
Yeah,
So it's a little
I
bit
mean,
of a
personally, I
different
think that's
accounting
fine.
system.
Yeah, look, I've lived in most of my life in places that have pretty heavy Hispanic populations. I grew up in Southern California. Most of my friends were Hispanic. Then I moved to Arizona, slightly less Hispanic in the part of Arizona I live in. But I've lived around illegal or undocumented immigrants my whole life. So most of them are like amazing people. I get that you need to come here the right way or whatever, but I think that we haven't established the right way to come, um, and that's a failure of both Democrats and Republicans.
But do you think
Uh,
everyone that wants to come should be able to come, or do you think there should be restricted immigration?
well,
The
I mean,
guest is
of
not
course,
Amish, I don't believe. You're not Amish, right?
no, I'm not Amish, and I'm not like total libertarian where like whoever wants to come can come. I think we do need to screen people. We do need to make sure that we're not letting in terrorists or drug dealers and stuff. I'm not saying we need to let everyone in, but I think if someone's going to come and contribute to the economy and raise a family and is not a criminal, then I think that generally they should be allowed to come. Yeah, I think that they're
So
just
you
going to be a
would
net
probably
good to the
want
country.
mass amnesty or something like that. What's up, Gigi? Thank you. Appreciate it, I
Yeah,
guess. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
again, amnesty. I think if you've been contributing to the country, if you've had a job, if you don't have any criminal record,
But on
um,
average, if you do the mathematics, each illegal alien immigrant is like a massive deficit to our country.
how so? And
They
not in
pay
tax revenue.
$6 billion a year in taxes and take $451 billion a year out of the system in taxes because it costs 15. No, it costs 18,000 actually per kid they have in the public school system. Plus all the welfare money they get, free insurance in California through Medi-Cal. It's 63% federally funded. There's over 1.6 million illegal alien immigrants on this free health insurance plan that could otherwise be going to people in California that are real
Yeah,
citizens.
but they're also paying taxes in California. They're paying payroll taxes. They're paying sales taxes. They're paying.
Yeah, but even all those taxes calculated together, they only pay $96 billion a
Yeah,
year, and
yeah.
they're
And look,
taking 451 billion out of the system.
and this is why we should have
I have
amnesty so that we
sources
can
for
just.
this if you don't believe
Uh,
me.
uh, well, I mean, look, I think it depends. I mean, I'd be interested to
Even
see
if you
those
use a
sources. I know that.
Democrat source or a liberal source, they all tell you the same thing. If you look at the amount of money they pay in taxes versus how much they take out of the taxpayer system, it always ends up being a net negative, no matter what source you use.
I don't think so. The Cato
I've
Institute put
tried.
out. Okay, we can look. The Cato Institute put out a big study where it was um, federally, it was for sure they contributed more, and then it
I
depended
know the
how much
Cato
you put in.
Institute's numbers. They're actually way more left wing, but even their numbers say they're a net negative. It says they pay $96 billion a year in taxes, and it says they take $180 billion.
Okay, I mean, I haven't reviewed that in a
It's
while.
450
No, no,
billion to
but
six
look,
hundred
you're making my
billion.
point. If we had a better system for them to be able to pay taxes, then that would probably erase
Well, they
because they're
can pay
already.
taxes. All they have to do is get the TIN number, the tax
Yeah,
identification number.
right, but there's already, but that's one, really hard to do.
It's not
Two,
really hard to do. All you do is have to click it online, select it on TurboTax, and they give you one.
not necessarily. I mean, look, I've worked in payroll companies for most of my, or at a payroll company for like 8 years,
Well,
and
if
it
they
was
can't
not
file their
easy.
fucking taxes, maybe they shouldn't be in the country. I don't know.
Or maybe we should come up with a system where they can file their taxes.
So what? We're gonna make that excuse for every idiot that fucks up on their taxes? Oh no, they shouldn't go to prison. They didn't know better. Oh no, the government
That's
doesn't care.
yeah, they do. Very few people go to prison for not paying their taxes.
Well,
The government will work like like a ton. Believe me, I work at a CPA firm. The
they do
government will
work a
do whatever
ton,
they
but
can to
people do
collect your
go to
taxes.
prison for it. It's actually it's a little bit more common than it should be.
So now, okay, yeah, it's very hard to get. You have to be for sure like explicitly committing like really bad
Yeah,
frauds to
you
go to
have to be
prison.
proven to be committing malice. I mean, it
Yeah,
can't just
it's
be that you forgot to pay your taxes. You have to be
yeah,
proven of committed of did it on purpose.
yeah. It's a very high standard to send somebody to prison for tax evasion.
Why would we tax the rich 70%? What do you think about that comment? Is that something you believe in?
Tax the rich? Probably not. But again, like that's a marginal tax rate. So like if you're talking about taxing somebody like $1 billionth at 70%, I could get there. But that doesn't mean that
I
they're
thought
paying
you said they
70% of
earned
the
that
tax.
$1 billion. That's their money. Ask Wesley Snipes. He went to prison for tax
Listen,
evasion.
I didn't know that. Um, but yeah, again, like I think conservatives either when they talk about this, I don't know if they don't know what the marginal tax system is, or if they just try and obfuscate it. But like when you talk about the 70% tax, they're not paying like 700 million, like a billion. Say somebody made $1 billion, they're not paying 700 million in taxes.
Well,
They
it's
would
not the
on their
effective
one
tax
billion.
rate.
What's the? It's
The
not the.
effective tax rate is
Nobody says when they talk about 70% taxes. Nobody's saying that should be their effective tax rate.
well,
That should
in
be the top
Norway,
marginal
that's the
tax rate.
effective tax rate is around 60%.
Okay, and I've never heard a serious somebody seriously talk about the United States having an effective tax rate of
Yeah,
seventy
all of
percent.
them
It's
say
all
they
just
want
marginal tax.
socialism like Norway and Sweden and Finland, but those countries aren't socialist.
Okay, yeah. Look, I'm not arguing about Norway. I'm talking about the United States, and we have a marginal tax system. And I'm not saying I think that the top tax rate should be 70%, but that's what people that would argue that would say is that that would be the top marginal bracket, and that's how it was in the 50s or whatever. It was like 90 something percent was the top
Yeah,
marginal
but the
tax rate.
effective tax rate was like almost only a few percentage more than it is now.
Yeah, I know. So we should have a, but that was still capturing. That's why wealth inequality was lower than it is now, is because they had a high marginal tax rate with a lower effective tax rate overall.
Honestly, I'm just for a flat tax rate. What do you think about that?
I think that's a terrible idea.
Why? But let's hear me out. I know it affects poor people, so we would do no taxes for everyone making under 100,000, and then a flat tax rate for
Okay.
everyone else.
Okay. I mean that changes things a bit. Yeah, I think if you uh, I could get more on board with that. But again, I think that like I don't see why somebody that makes 100 and 130,000 should be taxed the same way that somebody makes $1 billion is taxed.
Because you
Um,
both put in effort, and one person
uh,
put effort, you put less effort than the billionaire.
yeah, but they're both you're right. They both put in effort, but like that doesn't mean that they both
Why should
are
you pay
getting
more
exactly.
taxes for working harder?
Why should you pay more? Because you're first of all you're paying more, but you're also
You're
getting
taking
more
more
back. You're
sacrifices.
getting
Why
more.
should you take
Okay,
more sacrifices and pay more
why should
taxes?
because one, that's the way that we fund our economy. Two, because
Well, there's plenty of
you're also
countries that don't fund their
you're also
economy like that, but okay.
you're also benefiting more. So say you're the owner of a grocery store, and all of your grocery stores, like say you have a chain of 10 grocery stores. Okay, all of your grocery stores are located on public roads. All of your grocery stores are getting a federal
Okay,
tax.
what about in countries that don't have taxes, a tax system like that?
Why are we switching between countries? Like I
Because
can't.
you're
I'm not gonna.
acting like that's the only economic method to keep roads functioning is through taxing people at high rates.
Because that's the most effective way to keep roads running.
That's not the most effective. That actually hurts the lower class.
So what's a more okay fine then what's a more effective
Taxes
way?
hurt poor people more than anyone else. Rich people will never pay any taxes. It doesn't matter what you change the laws to.
Uh, I mean, I don't think that's entirely true. I
Poor
think we
people
can.
will always suffer the most from paying taxes. Is that not true?
Poor people will all suffer more from paying taxes.
Yeah,
And it depends on the tax system that you have.
in America.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Suffers the most
personally, I
from
think that
taxes. Poor people or wealthy people in America.
sorry, who suffers more from paying taxes? Poor people or wealthy people?
Yeah.
Uh, Depends on how poor we're talking. If we're talking about below the poverty level, then
I'm just
they don't
talking
pay a
about
lot of
the
taxes.
minimum what just talking about the average median household income.
Okay, average medium household income. Probably I would say middle class. Yeah, I'd say that they have a bigger tax burden, and I think that's wrong. I don't think that should be the case.
And the
I
millionaires
think
pay
rich people should pay more
a larger
taxes.
percentage. People in the middle
Yeah, but
class, what
yeah,
they'll be paying
yeah, but
22%. Then the
billionaires are trying
millionaire
to
will be paying almost 40% in federal taxes alone. You'll be paying 22%. He'll be paying almost 40% in federal
yes,
taxes alone.
but billionaires aren't trying to put food on their table. They're trying to figure out how to pay for their second job.
Have a huge staff and they're trying to feed their family. Billionaires go broke too, you know that, right?
You have to be a pretty bad billionaire to go broke. I know Trump's tried,
Most
but
billionaires have probably have gone bankrupt. If I had to take a statistical guess,
what's that? What percent of billionaires have gone bankrupt?
probably a very high percentage, right?
Well, I mean, have filed for bankruptcy, I'm sure, but that's different than going broke. I mean, Trump's filed bankruptcy like 14 times or something, but he's not broke.
Exactly.
So that's not the same thing.
Exactly. It's not the same thing.
You have to you have to be a bad billionaire to go broke, but most billionaires, I agree, would have filed for bankruptcy at least once for one of their endeavors or whatever. But that doesn't mean they're broke. That doesn't mean that they're struggling to put food on the table. It just means that they
They
started.
are
Well,
struggling. They're struggling
what
to keep their
billionaire, dude?
business
What
running.
billionaire? What billionaire is struggling to put food on the table? What are you
That is,
talking about? What are you arguing right now?
you're telling me no billionaires went broke before.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying no billionaires
Bad
ever got broke.
billionaires, bad with money.
I'm saying that billionaires, as a general rule, are not struggling
People
to put
that
food on
make
the
over
table.
150,000, they pay like like 89% of the taxes, 90% of the taxes.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that make around 150,000. There's a very few amount of
One hundred
billionaires.
fifty thousand and more.
Yeah, I know. There's a huge cluster of people that make like between 130 and like 250,000. That's what
Billionaires
those
and
people
millionaires
make up.
pay even a larger percentage.
Pay a larger percentage of their money. Yeah,
They
that's
pay
that's
more in
true.
taxes in total. They pay the majority of the
Um,
taxes in the country.
Yeah. Okay. What are you even arguing now? We've switched topics like 5 times. Yeah. Billion. First of all,
Billionaires are paying the majority of the taxes in the country, so they
not the
don't need to
majority.
be
The
paid. They
majority of
don't need to
taxes
be
are not
taxed.
paid. The
Yes, they
majority of
are.
taxes are not paid by billionaires.
Yes,
Second
they
of
are.
all,
Over half, much over half. I think it's like 70% of them are just paid by billionaires alone.
70% of taxes are paid by billionaires.
Yeah,
No.
some crazy high number. It's definitely over 50%. Let me see. Let me see. What's the percentage of tax for billionaires?
What's the percent? Are you talking about what percent? Yeah. You're saying that out of the tax revenue of the United States, like the money that goes into the United States
No, what's
Treasury,
the
it's
total
70%.
amount they paid towards the tax system? Let's see. Let's see. Um, I don't know. I couldn't find a number. It
Yeah. I
says
mean,
the top 10% of income earners pay more than 72% of all federal taxes.
yeah, but
That's from Cato
yeah, but
Institute.
that's the top 10%. The top 10% are not
Yeah,
billionaires.
that's
The
millionaires
top
and
like
billionaires.
there's only like 40 billionaires in the United States or 60 billionaires
40
in the United States.
billionaires, there's about 600.
In the United States,
Yeah.
I think that's worldwide. Okay, okay, fine.
Oh,
600
worldwide
billionaires.
it's like 3,000.
Okay,
Um,
okay, fine. 600 billionaires. That's not 10% of the population. If you're
no,
going
I
down,
know,
I
but
think the
they pay a lot.
top
There
top
is
10 is
actually almost 1,000 billionaires in the United States.
okay. All
989.
right, my bad. 1,000 billionaires. Okay, fine. That's like 0.00001% of the population. So if we go all the way down to the like 90th or the top 10%, that's down to like what the I would guess that's like around $180,000 or something.
No, no, it's probably like a million.
190 for top 10%.
Well, let's look it up. It says you have to earn $2 million a year.
To be in the top 10%,
Yeah,
that's not true.
it is. It says you have. It actually says a household income of 2 million or a household net worth of $2 million.
Household, okay, that's different. Yeah, household net worth is different than household than yearly
And it
income.
says, or at least a income of $210,000 or
Okay,
more.
I said 190,000. I was 10% off.
But the net worth is the most important factor.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. So I was right. We're looking at 100 around
Yeah, you have to have a
190.
$2 million net worth.
Okay, okay.
The
There's
net
net
the
worth.
net worth
There's
for the top 10% is roughly 1.3 million to 1.8 million.
yeah for their net worth, not for their annual income.
Well, if they don't have $1 million net worth, they're probably not in the top 10%.
Okay, are we talking at top 10% of net worth or top 10% of income? Those
Net
are two
worth.
different things. Top 10% of income is yeah, like 100. What did it say? 220,
Ooh,
210,000. Okay. First of all, this is all semantics. It doesn't really matter. But that's again, that's what we most of people and honestly, right now, somebody making around $200,000, if they have like 5 kids, they're probably like sitting around middle class, maybe upper middle class. So that's what I'm saying.
depends
That
on what
middle
area you
class, upper
live in.
middle
That's what
class.
I'm saying. That's why net worth matters
Yeah.
more. In
Okay. But
California,
either
with 210,000, you're broke. Really, I mean, you can't
yeah,
live that good.
I know. So but again, like that's what I'm saying. The upper middle class, they're the ones that are shouldering most of the tax burden, not the billionaires.
I don't think a $2 million net worth is really upper middle class.
I know, but we're talking about annual income. Somebody, if you have a family and you're making $200,000 and you have like 4 or 5, like a couple kids, and you're up, I'd say you're upper middle class, but it's kind of getting semantics at that point, whether you're upper middle
I
or
agree with
lower.
that, honestly. I mean, this is just all semantics.
Yeah, but no, it goes back to the
So, is there
point that
anything wrong with Trump's deportations, though?
you got cooked, man. Uh, Anything wrong with Trump's deportations? Again, like it depends on who you're deporting, how you're deporting them. I think if you're deporting criminals, I'm fully supportive of deporting criminals. I think 90% of
If
liberals
you
you talk
enter
to, and
illegally, you're a criminal, right?
no,
Yes, you committed the crime.
uh, I can guarantee you've probably committed a crime today. Does that make you a criminal?
Okay, so once you get charged for it, that means you're a convicted criminal.
Once you get charged and found guilty, that makes you a a criminal. That's how we generally use the
So
word
once
criminal.
you get found, once you get deported, you're guilty and you're a criminal.
No, they did not go through. Okay,
And yes,
that's
if
why
you
we're.
do a criminal act, you're
That's
criminals. So yes, most people are criminals.
no.
Okay, there you
Okay,
go. There you go.
okay. So I think that by that arbitrary definition of criminal, then I would not agree. I would say that if
I would
you're
say yes, if you committed a crime, you should get caught for it. You're a criminal.
okay, then again, look, I think that somebody who commits felony speeding, goes 20 miles an hour, is going to be much more of a danger to me than an immigrant.
Even though an illegal alien immigrant could tie you up, grape you, and torture you, if you die in
They
a car, it's
could.
instant death.
Again, I've lived around illegal immigrants my entire life. I've never once been worried about them doing that to me. However, I have almost been hit like several times by
Well, what
people
about the
doing
2,500
stupid
women last
driving.
year that were raped and abused by just purely illegal
Yeah,
alien
I think
immigrants?
that's terrible. I think that they should be deported. First of all, I don't even think they should be deported. I think they should be serving
They should
lifetime
have just
sentences in
never
the United
been
States.
here, right? They should have just never been
Well,
here. That would have been a better
yes,
solution.
ideally, if we could tell the future, then we would have never let them in the country. Good job. You're correct.
Okay.
But we can't tell the future. So we're left to, I think that immigrants are a net benefit to society. And
But
I
they're
think
not. In which way?
along,
They're a net negative to the economy. We
they're
can't
not,
confuse the
they're
word
not,
immigrants with legal immigrants. These are illegal alien criminal bastards. They are
I think
not
that both,
immigrants.
I think that both
They're not
legal immigrants,
immigrants.
okay. First of all, the Trump
Similar.
admin has,
Legal
first,
immigrants come here with money and education. Illegal alien immigrants enter illegally because they don't have money or education.
again, it depends. And that's fine. I think if somebody comes with no money or education, but is willing to work hard and pull themselves up by their bootstraps, then I'm fine with having them here. And
No, I
that's,
don't think
and
so.
I think, okay, I think that that's pretty un-American.
It's not un-American. We've always
Okay.
had
I
restrictions
mean,
here and there about people coming into our country. We never had open border.
okay, first of all, when was the first border law passed?
The first border law, as soon as I mean, I don't know, but as soon as we got our country started
When,
developing,
when,
and
no,
we,
when was the first
how is
border law
that
passed?
relevant? You're
Because you
saying
said that we've
border
always,
laws don't matter? Do you believe in the laws or not?
no, I think that it's a pretty, first of all, again, I think
Illegal
that we
alien
should be,
immigrants cost us more than foreign wars do. So why are you pro illegal alien immigrants? They cost 2,500 women, grapes, abuses, all kinds of different stuff a
yeah,
year.
look, I think that's bad. I think that's bad. But again, there's a lot that's bad that we could, like, if we had a police state, then we could get rid of more crime too. But we have to
We
balance
do
that
have a
with the
police
freedoms that
state.
we have to
Most
balance
first
that with,
world countries have police states nowadays.
by police state, I mean we have strict curfews where we have to be inside past a certain time, and there's
Like
policemen.
the Democrats had under Biden when there was the COVID.
Oh wait, when did all the COVID lockdowns happen?
Under Biden?
Um, I'm not sure how old you were during COVID, but it
There was
was. I
COVID
don't.
lockdowns under Trump, but most of them
I'm
continued
pretty
for
much. I'm
months
pretty
and
sure
months
all the
under
COVID
Biden.
lockdowns
Huh?
were under Trump. All the intense COVID lockdowns
No,
were
in
under Trump.
2023, Las Vegas was still half locked down.
Okay, half lockdown, but during the extreme lockdowns, it was all under Trump.
There were still states, and that was a conservative city. That was a Republican city.
Okay, you were just blaming
So
Biden.
of course, it
It
was
didn't
literally
happen
one
under
of the
Biden. It
only
happened under
states that
Trump.
was halfway open. There in Florida. It
Halfway
was
open.
actually
You mean?
2022, though. My bad. 2022, not 2023.
Okay, all right. Regardless, most of the lockdowns were like for the few weeks when it was like actually really locked down where you can go outside and stuff. It was all under Trump. And you're right. I will
No,
say that
California kept it locked down for like 2 years.
Uh, okay. I mean, depending on what you mean by lockdown, yeah, they weren't completely open, but it wasn't as bad. Like
Okay,
no,
so is
but
that
okay.
not a police state? They were arresting people in
Here,
California, were they
all
not?
right.
That was not
My
Trump's law. By the way, the lockdowns is not federal law. That's not Trump's law. That's state law. These state laws were done
I know.
by Democrat governors.
I know, but
Democrat governors.
I was just razzing you because you first blamed it on Biden. So by this logic, it wasn't Biden. It wouldn't have been Biden's fault. It would have been the
I said
governor
under
leading it.
Biden. I didn't blame it was Biden. I said, you remember when Biden was president and there was lockdowns?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The implication that you made was that it was under Biden, meaning Biden caused it or Biden was an influence on it.
Biden
But
was an
okay,
influence on it. He's the
okay.
reason it
First of
went
all,
on for way longer than it should have been. The day
my
one, Biden should have reopened the country. Shouldn't he have not?
The country was already open.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, most of the country was already open.
I don't know how old you are, but maybe you're senile. You can't remember. Most of the country was not open. The only places that were open was Florida because Florida opened after 2 weeks.
I, okay,
And a couple red states opened. But Rob says asking billionaires for their money or telling them what to do with their money is like a higher level version of asking for change on the corner.
what's that? We're back to
Rob
billionaires now.
says asking billionaires for their money or telling them what to do with their money is like a higher level version of asking for change on the corner.
You want me
You're
to respond to
expecting the
that?
billionaires to take care of you.
I'm not expecting the billionaires to take care of me. I'm expecting the
Then why do
billionaires
they
to
have
do
to
the same
give
thing.
more of their money away to the poor people because it's their money? They get to decide what they do. Why do they have to get taxed more?
Because again, they benefited from the society that they live
How do
in,
they
and
benefit? They
we just went
pay
through
more than enough for an entire road to their house.
to their stores, to the infrastructure to import all of their goods. There's a ton of
They
things.
pay sales tax on that. What are you talking about? They already
Okay,
pay tax on that.
again, you can argue it
They literally
from the
paid the taxes
you can argue it
on the shipping and the importing already. Now they have to pay fucking tax on it
well,
again.
they didn't used to pay the taxes on the shipping and importing until Trump tariffed them, right?
No, there's always been tariffs and there's always been taxes and
Very
shipping costs.
way smaller tariffs.
Biden
Most of this
raised
was
Trump's tariffs under China. So I
to
don't know what you
China.
mean by white way smaller, huh?
Yeah, he kept the tariffs to China,
He
some of
raised them.
them.
He kept them and he raised them.
Yeah. So your argument now is that Trump didn't do big tariffs? Or
No,
you're
he
an
did,
anti-tariff
but
guy?
Biden kept them and he raised them. So it seems like
Yeah.
all these other presidents did tariffs too.
I think most people are fully supportive of strategic tariffs, especially depending on whatever you know subject you want to look at. Like if you have something that's important to national security, yeah, I think we should have tariffs on those kind of things. But if we're looking at the general, like every import from like Canada or something, no, we shouldn't have nearly the amount of tariffs that Trump put on.
Billionaires own businesses which hold up the economy. Billionaires and millionaires are the only people that employ other people. They're always like, eat the rich, eat the rich. Okay, then who is gonna employ y'all? Who's gonna
I'm
feed
not
you?
saying eat the rich. I'm saying that that billionaires and millionaires aren't struggling to put food on the table, and I think it's okay if they're paying a slightly higher marginal tax rate. I don't think
Why?
that's a very crazy thing. Why? Because they
What's
benefit the most from the society that they live in. I
No,
think it's
they
okay
don't
that they're taking a
benefit the
slight.
most. They
Yes, they
take
do.
advantage the most because they work harder.
No,
They take advantages of
no.
their opportunities. They're not
They
benefiting
like
the most
okay.
unfairly.
All right.
They
So question.
benefit more because they take advantages of the opportunities that
So
other
Walmart.
people are too lazy to work
All
16
right.
hours a day to do.
So who's the Walmart guy? I'm forgetting his name. The Walmart guy, right? Does he benefit from food stamps?
Which Walmart guy? What do you mean?
The owner of Walmart. I'm forgetting Sam Walton or whatever his name is. The owner of Walmart. He's one of the. He used to be like the richest person in the world.
He indirectly benefits from food stamps, yes.
House up.
Because when they give food stamps and there's more government assistance, more people are relying on the government than the job. So he benefits because he's able to pay them lower salaries.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So you don't think that he should be kicking back taxes? I mean, right now he's not providing a
No, I
living
think the
wage.
government should
Or
stop
Walmart's not.
handing out welfare, and I think he pays his fair share in taxes.
So right now Walmart right is not providing a living wage to most of their employees, and though
Walmart offers a lot of benefits. Did you know, as a Walmart regional manager, you can make $600,000 a
yeah,
year?
okay, yeah, and how many people work for the regional manager?
Well, how many people are doing the entry level jobs?
Yeah, I know. So look, that's the point is that there can be
If you're
one
doing
regional
an entry
manager
level
for
job, you're
600
getting paid
employees.
entry level. But
Yeah, I know, and that's the point is that entry level that Walmart can afford to pay entry level people less than living wage because they're relying on the
so we
government
should
to
be
subsidize
forced to
them.
pay everyone livable wages. That's
I
the
think so.
solution.
Yeah, yeah.
So in Florida, we if you start a new business, you should be forced to pay your employee $6,500 a month.
65 is that a living wage in Florida? 6,500 a month?
So yeah, at least fifty five
Uh,
hundred dollars a month
Dude,
minimum.
Florida must be getting bad now.
No, it's that we get a lot of money over here.
Okay, I don't think that the living
To
wage is
live a good
6,500 a
life,
month in
yeah. To
Florida.
live a good life, I would say sixty-five hundred
Yeah, live a
dollars.
good life is different than a living wage. A living
Okay,
wage means
fine.
that you can
Livable
put it.
wage, probably 5,000 then.
It's probably like 2,000 a month is probably what
Two
the living what the
thousand? Your
actual
rent is two
what the what the
thousand dollars a month.
what the actual poverty line
Where the
is.
fuck do you live at? Where do you live at?
No, I'm saying
Mississippi?
like I'm not saying that that's what I think it should be, but I'm saying that that's probably what the
No,
what
a livable wage is definitely not 2,000 a month in Florida. You
livable
you
wage is
can't
different
you
than
can't live in Florida on $2,000 a month.
if you're a single person,
Your
you don't think you
rent
can.
is $1,700 for a studio apartment.
If you don't have if you don't have a roommate, that's what I'm saying.
So what is this
Okay,
livable wage with a
look, I
roommate?
agree.
If we're
I
talking
agree.
about with roommates, I would argue McDonald's employees already make a livable wage.
No, okay.
Because with twelve hundred
Look, I
dollars a month
okay,
is
fine.
the low end, they can get a roommate, they can get a used car. There you go. They're making it. They're
Yeah,
making livable wage.
yeah. A livable wage, I'd say, is probably if you're single. I think it's probably um, around 2 or 3 thousand a month is what the minimum that I think that they should be paid. And I don't think that's like I don't
Twenty-three
think that's
thousand
ridiculous.
dollars a month. You're not going to survive off $2,000 a month in Florida. That's impossible.
2,000 is maybe a little bit. Look, I've only been to Florida a few times, so maybe 3,000 a month in Florida. Okay.
Well,
Um,
it's still going to be pretty much impossible. You're not going to have any. You're going to have $0. You might go a little bit in the negative.
okay, fine. So fine. So let's just say $3,000. If you're frugal, you can make it work. Then I think that's a good place to start
Two
that
thousand
employer.
dollars a month with food
I said three.
stamps, Section 8
I said three.
housing, and not surpassing a certain
I said
income.
I said $3,000 a month. We just let's just peg it there, and then yeah. So I think employers should have to pay their employees $36,000 a year. I think that's reasonable.
$36,000. You're not. It's going to be impossible. Going to be impossible after taxes. Like I said before,
So
your rent is $24,000 a year.
so if an employer can't afford to
After
pay their employee,
taxes, you're going to have nothing.
okay. So now I'm asking you. So if an employer can't afford to pay their employee $36,000 a year, should they be in business?
Yes.
So they're relying on the government to subsidize their business.
No, they're
You're
gonna hire people that apply for their job are gonna have to be in the fitting position to work that job. If they get $10 an hour, they have to be a high school employee or they have to be someone that wants to get paid in stock ownership, like the company Apple. You know, Apple, Steve Jobs and his boys were in. They didn't get paid a salary at first. They all got ownership in the company. They were employees. They were working there. They didn't get paid a minimum salary. They brought this great
look
corporation and great company out
if
of
you want to
nothing.
argue that if you want to argue that we should have
And people
mandatory
that are
profit sharing,
18
I'm
years
fine with
old in
that.
college, if they want to be a
You're
part of a
sounding more
small
socialist by
growing
the
company, huh?
you're sounding more socialist by the second. If we want to mandate, like profit sharing, then I'm okay with that.
No, I'm saying that's how they negotiated. That's how they started their business. That's called equity. It's not called socialism. It's called you negotiate equity instead of a salary. People value equity more than a salary in certain times, especially if you're starting small business.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Would you
You're
rather
right.
have 10% of Amazon or would you rather have 3 grand a
I,
month?
I understand how. Yes, okay. I understand how equity works. All right, in a company,
It's not
and yeah,
employee ownership. You're part of the founders. You're not an employee. You're
employee
not.
ownership is
You're
having equity in the
technically an
company is employee
employee,
ownership.
but
What are you
you're a
talking about?
founder of the
Having
company. Regular employees don't
having
deserve ownership of their company.
if you have
You're a
equity in the company,
founder
you're
of the
only going.
company. The grunts, the baseline employees, they don't get freaking ownership. It's not a co-op. That's not what I'm advocating for. It's not a co-op
But you just
structure.
okay. So let's track this conversation. I said that you should at least be making $36,000 a year in Florida,
And I
and then you
say
said,
that's not
"Oh, look
enough.
at how
You can't survive off of
look."
that.
Okay, fine. Then what do you think that the minimum that you should be able to be paid in Florida is?
I told you $5,000 a month.
So you think that every employer should have to pay their employees $5,000 a month?
No, they shouldn't. There should be no minimum. But what it costs, how much to live? $5,000 a month.
Okay, so by saying that, you are saying that somehow somebody's going to have to make up that difference. If you're expecting somebody to work a full time job, this is all assuming like full time work, right? So you're saying that you're expecting that person to put in full time hours, but you're not going to be able to pay them enough to live. Somewhere that difference is going to have to be made up, right?
Yeah, get another job or get a hustle or get a better job just in general.
So again, that if everyone did that, then that job wouldn't exist.
No, it would exist. It's for high school students and people that are 18 or people that want to start working with a small company or people that are young adults. It's not for grown ass men.
I guarantee you, $60,000 jobs in Florida are not employing 18-year-olds or high school kids. Go find a high school kid making $60,000 in Florida. Go find an 18-year-old making
I'm
sixty thousand
sure there's
dollars in
plenty of
Florida.
them.
Dude, that's ridiculous.
Ones that actually go out there and hustle, I'm sure there's
It's just
some of them.
ridiculous. Go find a 16. Maybe there's one or two or whatever, like that are like
Okay,
some nepo
and
babies
that's
working for their kids
for
for their
school. That's
parents'
pretty
company.
decent.
But this is not a company that's starting up being like, all right, my business idea, I got it, boys. I got my business idea. My business idea is
Exactly.
I'm going to
So
go
there
pay
we
sixty
go.
thousand
We
dollars
shouldn't
to
force
18 year
small
olds.
companies to do it because it's stupid.
Dude, you're getting my point, right? Is that first of all, I think that 60,000 is too high. Second of all, I think that
Thirty
if
thousand is too high for a business that's just opening up. They shouldn't be forced to do anything. That's socialism.
okay, if we're actually grounding this out in the real world, then almost all like most of these things have, depending on how many employees they have, is like what they're allowed to pay, and if they're like have to provide healthcare or not or whatever. Like if you have under 50 employees, then it's different. Your healthcare requirements are different, but but I but either way, you're relying on the government at some point to subsidize you being able to hire these people if you're not paying them a living wage. It's not like a hard concept
No,
to grasp.
it's supposed to
You
be.
are.
It's supposed to
You,
be for high school students
but no, again, no job is paying high school students a living wage either.
because they shouldn't be. It's a living wage for them to live with roommates or them to live with their parents.
Yeah, but there's plenty of jobs in Florida that are paying 40, $50,000 that are not designed that require college degrees.
Okay, then get a college degree. There's plenty of jobs that pay way more than 50 or $40 or $50,000 a year that don't require a college degree.
I know, but what I'm saying is that the only way that those jobs work, the ones paying 40, $50,000 a year that make college degrees, is by relying on the government to subsidize their employees through food stamps, through cheaper housing, through government paying their health care or whatever. So you have the owner of that company that's making, $1 million a year that is paying their employees $40,000 a year and having the government subsidize those employees. So yeah, I think it's
Well, those
okay to
employees should
tax
move
that
somewhere
owner of that
cheaper.
company.
They should move somewhere
What?
cheaper. They should move somewhere cheaper. They should
Okay,
accommodate their living. It's that
yeah,
simple.
you can always move somewhere cheaper, but that doesn't take away the fact that these jobs, that this is how we structure our economy, is that is that these owners of companies are relying on the government to subsidize
They're
their
not
low
relying on the
wages.
government. The
They
employees are
are.
just
They
making
are.
fucked up
You just don't.
decisions.
No, they're not. That's
Yes,
the
the
way that the
average
labor market
American
works.
car payment is $650 a month. Yeah, they're
Dude,
making fucked up decisions.
you're the one that just talked me up from making $3,000 a month to or a month to $5,000 a month as a
No,
living
I
wage, and now
said
you're
that we
going
should
on
have
about
nothing,
cost
but
of
you
living
asked
wage.
me how much it costs to live.
Yeah, okay. If you look, if you don't have a, okay, I agree. Fine, I agree. $5,000 a month is great, but the whole point is that the way that we've structured the economy in the United States is by subsidizing owners of companies and their workforce. That's just what we've
We
done.
don't subsidize their
You can argue about it.
workforce.
We do subsidize it. We subsidize it through benefits like food stamps and housing and healthcare.
No, the
We
majority of
don't,
people that are on those benefits are taking advantage of the system.
not the majority, a few maybe. I'm not saying that there's no fraud in the system, but to say claim it's the majority is insane.
They're not subsidizing the private corporations. All they're doing is giving
They
people
are.
that don't
They
want to
are.
work full-time jobs.
Most of those jobs are full-time jobs.
If you're working at McDonald's or you're working at Walmart, you should be
You keep
working at
saying
least
McDonald's.
60 $70. You should
You
be
keep
working at
they
60
don't
hours a
schedule them
week.
for 60. They don't schedule them for 60 hours a week.
That's why you get another job.
They schedule them for right below full time or right below overtime.
That's
So
why you should get another
and
job.
have you okay? Have you ever worked like retail or shift work? It's impossible because
Yes.
you don't know your shift for until
They
like the
give
week
you your
before.
shifts like a week ahead of time.
Yeah, so how are you supposed to juggle two jobs that are not giving you your shifts?
Get a
Look,
night
I've been there, I've
job.
done it.
It's
It's
only during the
tricky.
day. Get a night job.
Okay, so now we're expecting people to do a few things. We're expecting people to work a day job,
Just get
work a
a
night
better
job,
fucking job or
and
move to a cheaper area. They don't deserve $3,500. If a person wants to start a company, they shouldn't be forced to pay
No,
someone $35,000 a
what
year.
the what the company shouldn't deserve is a workforce that's subsidized by the government and then whine about paying taxes.
They shouldn't be receiving handouts when they're making $30,000 a year.
Look,
They
it's
should
the
move
real
somewhere
person receiving
cheaper.
the real
You
person
can't
receiving
expect they're subsidizing their living because they're trying to live in the inner cities and they're literally working fucking horrible jobs.
those horrible jobs are going to exist in the inner cities no matter what.
So they shouldn't live in the inner cities then.
Those jobs in the inner cities are always going to exist, and somebody's always going to have to work them.
The corporations are paying them what they're worth.
No,
If
the corporations
every
are,
single job that gets
they're,
30 or
they're,
$40,000 a year, literally anyone can do that job.
okay. Look, I'm not saying that like it takes a
It's
lot of skill, but
irreplaceable. The CEO
I'm
gets
saying
paid $1 million because no one can do his job.
I know, but I'm saying that the only way that the CEO can make $1 million is by the government subsidizing the workforce through benefits. And then the billionaire is and we can expand that out to like the roads, to the benefits, to most things. And then the government and so I don't think that the millionaire should be complaining about paying taxes because the only way that he's able to have that workforce is through the government.
Well, 40% of taxes on billions of dollars is way more than that quote unquote food stamps and those $3,000 a month food stamps.
Sorry, what? I was reading chat.
Those billions of dollars is way more than $3,000 a year in food stamps.
The billions of dollars that like in like benefits and food
Taxes
stamps
they
and stuff,
pay.
taxes they pay. I mean, probably not. A millionaire is not paying like somebody that's making around like $900 million. They're not paying $1 billion in taxes.
And their employees are not
Again,
really
we already established
a person
most of the
making
tax revenue.
$1 million does not pay their employees 30 they don't pay their employees $20,000 a year.
Okay, I don't know.
Like just
I've worked for
most
a
of
few
the
different.
time they don't.
What's that?
They just don't. Like name a business that does that.
I I've
And
worked
if
for
they
several
do, that's their
businesses.
right to do so.
It's their right. They're able to do so because the
And if
government
that
will
person
subsidize
says,
the
okay,
workforce.
there's plenty of people that need to work that job. That job has a role in society. It's not for people with 3 kids or 4 kids.
Yeah, look, I get it. But the only way that they're able to do that, and you refuse to like accept this point, is that the way that we've structured the economy is that corporations
They shouldn't
benefit.
be on welfare then. You shouldn't be on welfare. What part of that do you not understand?
You shouldn't be on welfare, but you have to work at the corp. Like those
Then
jobs
why
are
the
only
fuck
able.
didn't you just go to an oil field? You don't need any education. There's a million different jobs you can make 6 figures and you don't need any education. Why the fuck don't they do that? Because they're not willing to sacrifice anything for their family.
Okay, first of all, there's a ton of reasons why they might not be able to, but
It's because they
you can.
don't fucking sacrifice. They don't work fucking hard.
Okay,
That's
again,
why.
you refuse
Why
to
don't they
admit,
just go? Why don't they say
dude.
instead of me living on welfare, I can just go sign up for the fucking oil fields. I'll be in the middle of the ocean on the ocean drilling machine, and we'll make $250,000 a year. My family isn't gonna starve. We're not gonna live on fucking welfare, working 20 hours a week at Walmart. I'm confused. Like,
Here's the
what
thing:
the fuck?
you
They
can
just
always
don't
say that from
patient. That's it.
you can always argue this
They
from an
just don't
individual
got the
perspective.
motivation. That's all it is.
No, no, you can always argue this
It's
from an
called
individual.
laziness.
Okay, you can always argue this from an individual perspective, but the bottom line is that there's always going to be a need for people to work at Walmart. There's always going to be a need for people to work at Target and McDonald's and take all of those jobs. There's not enough
There's
16-year-olds.
doctors that are on food stamps.
I mean, when they're in their residency, maybe.
No, I
And
know
that
some doctors today that make 400, 300, $200,000 and they have 5 kids and they're on fucking food stamps.
you can make. Okay, yeah, okay. I make less than that, and I have 4 kids, and I'm not on food stamps. I don't qualify for food stamps, so I don't know what the doctor
Well,
what they're doing with taxes. Okay,
he's
I don't know
going through a
how
struggle
they're.
on and off losing the
I, I,
jobs.
I don't know. Then they're not making that much money. I don't know what they're writing off or how they're fudging their numbers to get food stamps, but
And
that's what we have.
doctors are still in debt for years. If they lose their job, they'll be put on food stamps. So what the fuck is your point?
Okay, well,
Doctors,
okay.
lawyers, all these
First of
people
all,
go on food
fir-
stamps.
first of all, almost every doctor and every lawyer has disability insurance, so they still get will get like 70 or 80% of their salaries if they become
This
disabled.
doctor doesn't have disability insurance because he's been broke from
They
the
should get
beginning.
disability insurance. They
It's expensive.
most of the time in order to get those loans, they need disability insurance.
It's expensive.
I know disability. There's a lot of things about being a doctor that's expensive, but you need disability insurance if you're a doctor. Otherwise, you're playing with fire. But regardless, like
Now,
no doctor making two
something
hundred.
that compromises your license. There you go.
If you do what
Something that compromises your license.
as a doctor, I mean, then you have malpractice insurance. So you would have to like it's not enough to like mess up. You would have to be committing like very bad fraud in order to not have it covered by either omissions and errors or malpractice insurance. Like between malpractice insurance, O&E insurance, and uh, and disability insurance, doctors are pretty well protected most of the time.
Well, obviously it happens. I don't know all the situation of
You
him,
can
but
construct a scenario, okay, where it
no, I'm not
happens.
construction a scenario. It's a real story.
Okay, okay. Look, I don't know about the real story, but I'm saying if you're making $200,000-300,000 a year, you're not on food stamps no matter how many kids you have. All right.
Are you kidding me? If you have 10 fucking kids, you cannot live on 200,000.
You're not on food stamps. You're not qualifying for food stamps.
Well, shit.
And I look, hey, I'm the liberal here. I think you should be on food stamps. I think that we should raise the threshold for food stamps. All right,
No, fuck no.
you're
Why?
sounding more and more lived up.
Shakisha, Shakisha gets
You're sounding
fucking
more and
food
more lived up
stamps.
as we talk.
Huh?
Man, I'm making a liberal out of
I
you.
never said they should have food stamps.
So far you've
You just
argued
said you just said no matter how many kids they have, they can't afford
they're not on
they
food
can
stamps
afford
if
it.
they're making $300,000 a year.
Shit, I honestly have no fucking clue. Is there some kind of thing where you can have 15, 20, fucking 35 kids?
Oh, it goes up by a certain amount every kid you have, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty much physically impossible to get to where you qualify for it. Maybe if you have 30 kids. I don't know if you're Warren Jeffs out there or something,
30
but
fucking kids, then yeah, there we go.
okay, your doctor friend with 30 kids
Yeah,
is rocking
from
food stamps.
Dr. Patel from India with 30
Out
kids.
out of all the things that has never happened, this probably has never happened the most.
It says right here there's a
Maybe
doctor
all
in
the
the United
people
States.
maybe the only thing that's not happened more than that is people coming up with tears in their eyes talking about how much they love Trump. That's probably the only thing that has never happened
That
more than that.
always fucking happens every day at the White House.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Let's see, let's see. I'm reading what it says about food stamps. If you have 55 kids, you can get food stamps if you make
All right,
when
man. All those polygamists out there with 55 kids, get them their food stamps.
60% of the budget goes to welfare and Medicare. That's because they're lazy. You're telling me the average man ain't lazy.
Who? Sorry, you're responding to me or chat?
Both of y'all.
60% of the goes in is that entitlement programs? I'm pretty sure Social Security is included in that.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, you've paid into most people have paid into Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security throughout their labor force years.
But they didn't mention that, but I don't know.
That's how entitlement programs work. So you pay into it as you from most jobs you have.
Yeah, I know that, but the person didn't mention that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Social Security is within that 60%.
I think it's 60% by itself, isn't it?
Uh, I don't. I mean, we can look up. I don't know. I need to find a way to prop up my. One
We
second
can't
here.
get everyone to pay it. That's right. That's because a lot of unemployed people.
Oh, what percent of federal? budget is.
But if y'all got any questions, comments, drop some super chats. I think I got 10 minutes left in me.
I think I've lived you up. I don't
Huh?
know, man. I think I've lived you up. I think that so far you've argued for a higher living wage. You've argued
No,
for
I
higher
don't
food
even. I don't
stamps.
want a higher livable wage. That I literally told you that's going to hinder so many small businesses.
I don't know. I think if a small business they're just gonna compete, they're just gonna pull themselves up by the bootstraps. They can't afford to pay a
No, they
livable
shouldn't be
wage.
forced to pay $36,000 a year because some fucking shitbag thinks he deserves $36,000 a year to wash dishes. I'm sorry,
Somebody needs to wash the dishes.
not for fucking $36,000 a year.
Look, first of all, it's probably not a full time job if you're washing dishes. But if you're paying somebody a full time
Well,
wage,
it
or if you're
doesn't.
having somebody work full
So it's
time,
only if you're a full time employee.
if you're that's the way that most minimum wage works. I mean, if we're talking about
Okay,
36,000.
well, part time employees get minimum wage, but you're talking about monthly
Well, right,
minimum.
but
But
yeah,
uh, but yeah, no, literally. No, no, that's horrible because then they're just gonna hire even more part-time employees. That's what they do now. Do you know why there's a lot of at every major retail job there's a million little part-time employees?
yeah, so that they don't have to pay overtime and don't
Well,
have to pay
no,
for health
not
insurance.
just that because they don't have to pay health insurance. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's literally just gonna increase more of that. That's what you want to
yeah. I
see?
think we should. I think we should. No, I think we should do our best. First of all, I think uh, we should have universal health care. I don't think that we should be exploiting.
Well, that's never gonna work. That costs about $7 trillion a year. That's 7 times more than our military budget. So I don't know how
And
we're
how
gonna
much?
do
How
that.
much do we pay right now? How much do we pay right now in healthcare costs?
Something around similar to that.
Yeah, no, it would reduce our net expenditure on healthcare.
It doesn't reduce it.
It does.
I don't believe so. You
Okay.
got your ass handed to you on what specifically? What's the numbers for it? How much? What is the numbers for it?
I mean, it depends on the proposal, but almost every proposal it reduces net healthcare expenditure. Uh,
And even if it does, I could care less because I don't want to pay 60% to pay for other people's health insurance.
okay, I
I'm
mean
I
that's
pay
fine.
60% taxes to pay for a lazy fucker's health
You're not
insurance.
paying you're not paying 60% taxes, but
I'd rather just save that extra 10% in taxes in my pocket
yeah,
because I can buy my
until
own insurance plan for cheaper.
that's not the way it works. I mean, if you're first of all, we wouldn't even have to be buying insurance plans, but if we have
Yeah, but
universal
if I
health care,
pay 10 or 15 or 20% more in taxes, that's going to be way more expensive than just buying my insurance plan all right.
mm, okay, not really. I mean, depends what your insurance you have right now, but at a lot of jobs I've worked, it's been about my healthcare has been over 10% of my income.
Well, if your health insurance is $200 a month and
You're getting health insurance for $200 a month?
I mean the average is around 156, I think for employer
What?
insurance.
No way.
That's what Google says, but it's not that cheap in other
It's not
places.
that cheap right now. You're not. If you are, then the employer is subsidizing that like crazy. Maybe for a single person,
Someone
if
got
you're looking at
Will has free insurance through his. He's an electrician.
way to go, Will. Actually, I have pretty good insurance. I don't pay too much in premiums right now, but most of the time you're paying over 10% of your income in health insurance costs, especially if you have a family.
Yeah, well, it depends how much you make too.
I worked a while at a payroll company where I would set up these benefit plans, and so I would see I would build out in the system like the benefit plans, and it depends on how much the employer is
For
willing to
four
pay.
kids, yourself, and a wife, no shit, it would be over 10%.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about just for myself, but uh, if you most of the times people will cover like employers will cover a good amount of the employees plan, but if you the moment you start adding
Even the
people to
one I
some
saw online, a plan, it said the maximum was $400 a month or something. For
for
a
the
what?
Obamacare plan.
For a wife, a kid. I think it's just one kid.
Yeah,
But
that's if you qualify for the subsidy.
yeah,
Yeah, but if you're getting if you have health insurance offered to you through your job, you don't qualify for the subsidy.
Well, I'm just saying there's multiple ways to go about it.
Not really. If you work for a company and they offer you health insurance, you can't go to
Yeah, and then
Obamacare
if you
and
don't have money, you have health insurance. So what the fuck is the complaint? Why do I need to
because
give you guys
you're paying the
20% of my
premium.
money?
You're paying the premium, which for a lot of people is around 10% of their income.
If you have 4 kids and a wife,
Or even if you just have a spouse, if you have anybody else on your plan, it's going to be about 10% of your income.
and once again, it depends on what job.
Yeah, look, a lot of this depends, but the point is that
The point
every
is,
single
most
proposal,
Americans don't want to pay
every
sixty
look,
percent in
look,
taxes for your free bullshit,
you're
and
not
they don't
saying
want to
again,
be
you're not
forced to pay employees $40,000 a
you,
year because
okay.
you think they deserve $40,000 a year to clean fucking
So
dishes.
here's a question, and just this isn't meant to be a gotcha, but at what point? So say say right now between insurance and medical costs, say we spend $10 trillion a year. Okay, between insurance and medical costs, it's not that much. I don't know exactly what it is, but let's just say 10 trillion.
You don't even
If
know
by
what it is.
universal,
You're saying all these facts
no,
and
no, look,
statistics, saying that it costs us more money, but you have no idea how much it
I'm
actually
just,
costs. You
it's a
can't
couple
just pull
trillion.
numbers out of your ass and say it's more
I'm not.
expensive.
I'm just trying to set up a little scenario for you to see. Okay, give you some reasoning here. All right, let's just say it's 10 trillion. It's not. I don't know exactly what it is, but let's just say it's 10 trillion for insurance and healthcare costs. Okay, let's say the net expenditure, how much we pay to cover insurance and healthcare costs, is 10 trillion. Okay, if by switching to a universal system, if we could lower that with the same level of care, same standard of care, and we could drop net expenditure to 5 trillion, would you be in favor of it?
The
Or just
only
principally no?
I have to raise my
If you
taxes. That's
if
impossible.
no, I'm saying if we cut out the inefficiency, if by cutting out inefficiencies of insurance and all the billing inefficiencies and all that, if
I've
we could
looked at
lower
the
the net
numbers before.
expenditure,
It's impossible not to raise your taxes.
of course your taxes will be going up. I'm not arguing
So
that your
no, I'm
taxes
not
won't
for
go
that.
up.
I'm not going to raise my
I'm
taxes for anything. Not to
I'm
pay for
saying that
somebody else. No.
I'm saying that if we can lower as a country, if we can cut in half the amount of expenditure that we pay towards healthcare companies and insurance companies with the same level of care that we have now, that's fine. It's a perfectly valid position to be like, no, I'm principally
No,
opposed to
all
that.
people that don't want to work shouldn't get anything for free. If the taxes raise it all, I'm not doing it.
First of all, the people that aren't working right now are already getting Medicare. Okay.
Exactly. They shouldn't be getting that. That's exactly my point. They
Okay,
shouldn't be
but that's
getting
already
it.
happening right now. So adding a universal health care is not going to change that.
No,
So
but I'm
right now it's
saying
already
they
happening.
shouldn't. We should cut the expenditures by cutting all the lazy people off of it. That way, we can lower the prices for the people that do pay it. The people
The thing
like
is
you that
that
are complaining about $200 insurance with
no,
a freaking
because the thing
wife
is
and four
the thing is
kids.
if we cut the insurance programs, then what happens to healthcare costs?
If we cut
If we were to if we kick them all off Medicare and Medicaid, what happens to overall healthcare costs?
healthcare cost goes down,
No, it goes way up because they're not getting preventative care. They're
no,
showing up
because there's
getting
going to be
worse.
a bunch of other
No,
companies that come out that are not going to be Obamacare because we're going to abolish Obamacare. We're going to return to a free market completely. We're gonna have a complete free market. No companies are gonna have to be subsidized by the government anymore. They're not gonna be subsidized. Everyone
look,
can just go to private
look,
companies
you
like they went to before
you can
Obama, but they'll have Medicare and Medicare still. We'll still have that. We'll just get rid of Obamacare.
you,
Anyone can go to any insurance they want, and then we'll have the $120 insurance without a job options that we had before Obama. There you go.
and guess what? If you had any sort of pre-existing condition, you could not get those plans.
Well, don't they still screw you over if you have a pre-existing condition? They give you like
No,
a yes,
no,
they give you a $30,000 deductible. That's how they fuck you over.
no, they're not allowed to give. They're not allowed to rate your insurance on pre-existing conditions.
But that's why they give you like a $50,000 deductible.
Okay, deductibles are capped. There's no $50,000 deductible.
Well, they give you the most like a $10,000 deductible, a 10
Yeah.
or 15,000, I believe.
Again, it depends on. Okay, first of all, it depends on how big the group is. If you have group health insurance, or if you have like how many people are in the health insurance plan. There's a lot that goes into all the
Pivoting, that's
rating of the
exactly
plan.
what fucking happens. They
But
give you
but
a $10,000
but
fucking deductible.
yeah, I know. Right now, my family deductible out of network is like twenty five
And
thousand dollars.
it doesn't mean they can't jack your prices up. All it means is they have to accept you.
Yeah, they have to. You have to get insurance before Obamacare. They could just reject
Yeah,
you
but
getting
now they
insurance.
can just fuck your prices up. What the fuck?
Okay,
It's the
yeah, but you can still get
stupidest shit
insurance.
ever. It fucked up insurance so much.
Okay, all right. It,
You did
I'm
your
not look.
insurance go
Look,
up after
look. I'm not trying.
Obamacare?
Look,
Did your
I'm not
insurance
trying.
go up? Did
I'm
your insurance go up after
look. I'm not
Obamacare?
trying to. I'm not trying to defend. Again, I'm not trying to defend the current healthcare system and the current insurance system. I don't want. I'm not in the position of defending that. I'm just saying that because I want to move to a more of a universal healthcare system. But I'm saying that right
But
now
did your
it's
insurance go
better.
up after Obama?
I was still on my parents' plan under Obamacare. I'm 34.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Okay, but either way, I remember like there, because I was old enough to like be following all of this, where you'd have people devastated because they would get fired, lose their insurance, and they would have a pre-existing condition, and they were just out of luck. There's literally nothing they could do.
Now they're just out of luck unless they have a $10,000 for their deductible.
First of all, a $10,000 deductible right now is not half bad. I don't know how much you know about health insurance, but
What is it?
a $10,000 deductible, that's a lot of plans have like that's a halfway decent plan right now.
Yeah, I know, and you still have to pay like a fuck ton. That would be like probably like
Yeah,
5 times as
yeah,
much money.
which is why we should be moving to more of a universal healthcare
So because
system.
Obama failed, we should give out even more
No,
free
because it was
shit.
failed before.
Woohoo! Obama failed. Give
It
out
failed
even
before
more
that.
free shit.
It Obamacare put a band-aid over the problem. I'm not saying it fixed
It
everything,
didn't put
but
a fucking band-aid. It ripped the band-aid off and fucking threw it
it
around the
didn't.
room and set
It,
it on
it didn't.
fire.
It didn't. I mean, like, again, I'm not defending the current healthcare system, but it was worse before Obamacare. It's gotten a little
No,
bit
it was
better, but
not.
it
The
still sucks.
fucking premiums for single fucking mothers went up from like fucking 150 to fucking 500 fucking dollars a month. All because they're making 40K a year. Get the fuck out of here, Barack Obama. All you welfare babies love that fucking bullshit. Fuck. Obamacare fucking sucks.
All right, man. Yeah, you can go and say that. I
15,000
agree. Look,
fucking
I
dollar
agree.
deductibles.
I agree that Obamacare sucks. All right,
And
it
the
just
only
sucked more
thing worse
before.
than Obamacare is fucking taxing people 65% because you fucking don't want to pay $200 a month for your fucking insurance.
For some, no one's arguing 60%. I'm just saying that as a country, we can drastically reduce the amount of money that goes to insurance companies and how much we pay for healthcare. And the way to do that is to switch to universal healthcare. It will raise taxes. I'm
It
not saying it's
doesn't
not going to
even
raise
lower
taxes,
how much we
but
pay for healthcare.
in the end, we're all going to have more money in our pockets at the end of the day. Okay.
It actually raises the cost of healthcare if we put all the power of the healthcare into a couple small, government owned
No, it doesn't.
businesses.
No, it doesn't.
It's gonna raise the cost.
It doesn't. What are you talking about? It won't. It will not. Look at it just doesn't. I don't know how much you study this. It doesn't. Look at
It just doesn't have
there's a
any
ton of other
answers.
countries. There's a ton.
Nothing is
No, there's a
free. So where's the money gonna come from then?
look right now. There's a ton of admin work that goes into billing, that goes into paying insurance companies, that goes like you can look at the amount of money that goes into the healthcare system that just gets hung up on administration and not providing healthcare. All of that would go back to would be pretty much erased. Not 100%, but like 90% of that will be. Okay. Because right now you have doctors' offices that are paying multiple, like 5 people on staff just to do the billing, just to do the coding,
Even
just
even
to
if you
work through
did,
the
the
healthcare.
numbers
All of
come
that
down
gets
to about
erased.
$15,000 a person. Even if you lowered the cost, I've read articles about it. It lowers down to $15,000 per person. So that means the average person is gonna have to pay. Somehow they're gonna have to squeeze in there another $15,000 worth of taxes. So I hope you don't make 35 grand a year because then you're gonna be down to about 20.
Okay. First of all, it's not if we have your magical tax your flat rate tax system maybe, but not for most logical people. That's not how the
Okay,
system works.
well, if you're making 650. or $690,000 a year, well, you're gonna be down to about $200,000 now because the socialists want to pay for their fucking health care. They're just gonna steal like 2/3 of your money and take the fuck
Look,
off.
here's the thing. I just from personal experience, I've
Why
had
does everyone have to fucking subsidize what like all your shit?
first of all, we're already subsidizing everything through insurance, and we're just
Yeah, we
profiting
should
because
get rid of
everything's more
that.
expensive.
If we got rid of that, it would be a
You're
hundred
right. We
times
should get
fucking
rid of that.
better.
We should get rid of that. I agree. Get rid of insurance and have universal healthcare that doesn't rely
No
on
fucking
insurance.
universal health care. That is horrible. I don't want to
I
wait
mean,
2 weeks for an appointment like every other country where you have to get a fucking cancer scanning and that shit takes a year.
it does not take a year. I mean, look, I'm
It
not
does
going to
in
talk about every
Canada
country.
and the UK.
It does. Like I've lived in other countries, and you
I've
go
lived in
walk
other
up,
countries too. I've lived in
show
three
show
other
show,
countries before.
show your healthcare card, and you get treated. It's much look right now.
Not for
It's
an
terrible right now.
emergency service.
Right now, like believe me, it wasn't like impossible for our last pregnancy. We had changed insurance. It was super hard to find an OBGYN that took our insurance. The wait times to get into it, we didn't have our first appointment until we started looking when we found out we were pregnant at like 6 weeks, and we couldn't get
Thanks to
into an OBG
Obamacare.
and we couldn't get into an OBGYN until like 14 or 15 weeks. And they were like, oh, they're freaked out because we hadn't had our appointment yet. And so that's the current status of America is long wait times and impossible to manage systems. Okay. Whereas most countries, you could get them way faster than that for routine care. Not,
The way countries are, other countries are way smaller.
yeah, but they also have way less doctors.
It depends what you're talking about, but
Yeah,
they have more doctors per people in America.
look, we want to get into there's a ton of other things I think that the American Medical Association has like they've put in a way high barrier to entry on medical schools. They artificially limit the amount of people that they let into medical schools. There's a whole bunch of things that we should do in America to reduce healthcare costs, and we can get into all of those. But we also should have universal healthcare insurance, and we could drastically reduce the
No,
costs. We could
no, everything
increase
I
the
saw, I don't
health
want our
funding.
taxes to be raised. No, thank you.
All right. Look, you can have a principal position of saying like we can give all of our money to insurance companies and hospitals and private equity that's buying up all of
No,
the
we should
doctors'
we should rip
offices,
away at the
and we can give them our
Obamacare
money.
system. I
But
told
but
you,
gosh
Quit
darn it,
Obama is
I get
exactly
to.
how we
I'm
should have
not.
our
I'm not giving it
insurance.
to the government, so I'm going to feel good in my heart that I'm giving it to an insurance company and a private equity firm that bought up the doctor and jacked up the rates. I'll
I
give it to
could
them and
really
not the
care
government,
less.
and I will feel
Corruption in the
good.
medical field
My
is not
Anne
going to be
Ryan.
solved
I,
by
I will. I
universal
will
health care.
I will pledge allegiance to the Anne Ryan book that's sitting on my desk and say, look, I am happy that I did not give that money to the government and
If you want to
just
get
gave
rid
it
of
to
the
my insurance
subsidies,
company.
then get rid of Obamacare, but don't give more subsidies to the same companies that you're complaining about.
You don't give in a universal healthcare, you wouldn't be giving subsidies to private equity companies and insurance
You're giving
companies.
subsidies to private health insurance are going to make them controlled by the government.
Speaking of, by the way, let's back up. When did Trump's has he come out with his healthcare plan or
I
is
just told you his
oh, that
health
was going
care
to be a couple
plan.
months. He doesn't his healthcare
I
plan
told
he
you
dropped it after he
Obamacare,
launched
appeal
he moved to
Obamacare,
RX.
and bring it back to where prices were lower. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. Oh,
Every
let's
every
just lower
Gen
prices.
X
Why
knows
did
that
I think of that?
Obamacare
What?
increased
Oh,
prices
us libs, man. We just lower prices. Why us libs? Why couldn't we think of that one? Dang,
because you
we just
fucked
did
up
lower
and thought
prices.
socialism was going to save you.
Obamacare is not socialism.
It's
What are you
not.
talking
You're
about?
trying to make it. You're trying to take private companies and give them the government ownership and to do our health insurance.
Yeah, you're.
You're
I mean,
trying to
look, I will agree
privatize the
that
public
universal healthcare.
industry. And you think the government, every time the
Yeah,
government sticks their hands in any privatized business, it becomes extremely inefficient.
that's not
Look
true.
at the DMV. Yes, it is. Look at the
Sometimes
DMV.
it's true. I will agree. Sometimes it's true, but
Every
not all the
country in
time.
this, every European country that has, if you compare their public insurance versus their private insurance is a million times faster,
Well, of
and you
course,
get
because
better
they have
doctors.
because yeah, because they already have most of the burden is taken off by the public health insurance. Of course.
So why would we
What are
make
you
it?
talking about?
Why would we get
Because
rid of?
they're because that's an existing that's having a system that's built upon an existing system
We
of
already have
public insurance.
Medicare and Medicaid.
Yeah, that doesn't cover good
It
like
doesn't cover the
most
lazy.
people.
It doesn't give the lazy people insurance.
No, it doesn't cut like okay. I mean, just as like a like you can be making like $100,000 and have be paying $20,000 in medical costs, and you're not covered by Medicare, not covered by Medicaid, and you don't have access to Obamacare.
If you're making $20,000 a year, just quit your job.
No, you're
You
making a
register
hundred
about
thousand dollars.
welfare.
You're making $100,000. Like last year, I make over 100,000, but not a ton over 100,000. So you're making 100 around 100,000, and between having a baby and and just other like pretty normal, no insane healthcare costs, I paid about $20,000 to the healthcare industry. Okay, between insurance premiums and having a baby, and so that's like about 15, 17, 18% of my income going to
Because
healthcare.
how much did the pregnancy cost?
It was a normal pregnancy.
And how much
No,
does it
no, no.
cost?
The it costs like $10,000 by the time you have all the appointments and
Okay, so
the.
that's
It was,
basically half of it.
to be fair, it was split up between 2 years. It was like I'm trying to think because it was like between 2 years, right? The 9 months wasn't all in one year, but yeah, between all the OB costs and the birth. And my wife walked in and had the baby within 5 minutes of walking into the hospital.
Well, I mean, you can have a natural birth too. You can have a birth in another
There was
country. You
that.
can have a
No,
natural birth. You
there was
could,
no. She didn't have an epidural. She just like walked in and had the baby.
no, I can definitely agree on certain things. Like I said, my full opinion is we should lower the medication cost and the cost of the actual stuff.
Oh,
And
that's
once we
crazy
lower
libs.
that,
Just
that's
not
going to
thinking.
lower the
Just not
cost of
thinking.
insurance. We don't need
Yeah.
to
Why didn't
universalize
I?
it.
Why didn't I think of that? Just lower the costs. Why didn't I think of that?
You can lower the costs.
That's wishful thinking. You have to do things that lower the costs.
Yeah, like opening up more free enterprise.
Yeah, that's gonna fix it.
Yeah.
There's nothing preventing any insurance company or any healthcare company that's from opening up. And besides some things like the AMA providing a limit to the doctors that, but again, that's all private. That's done through the private organization, not public.
I mean, you don't know the process of opening up an insurance company. They have to go through all the
Actually do know the
government
process.
stuff.
Actually do know the process of opening up
Well,
a.
what's the process of it then? Why didn't you open your own insurance company?
Um, my dad did open up an insurance company. I worked for it for a while, so I do know the
Okay,
process
well, your
pretty well.
dad knows about it then.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, but I know a good amount about it. I worked with him for a number of years. All right, and so yeah, you're right. It's hard, but there's nothing preventing right now in a free economy. There's nothing preventing a doctor's office from opening, insurance company from opening. Like,
But they're not
there's
incentivized because all the money goes to the ones that work with the government.
I mean, for the doctor's offices, a bunch of doctor's offices are dropping Medicare and Medicaid.
Yeah, but all the money is going to all the ones that are subsidized.
That's what do you mean what what are you talking about subsidized?
All the money is going towards the subsidized programs on the marketplace.
You mean no, again, most people can't get Obamacare, like the subsidized Obamacare plans, you mean?
Yeah, all they have to do is make less than $15,000 a year.
Less than 15,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, not very many people make less than $15,000 a year.
Well, yeah, literally over 10 million people.
Okay, out of a country of 300 million people, and I'm not gonna or 350 million people, and I'm not gonna
That is
fact check
literally a
that.
fuck ton.
Okay, that's not what's driving.
And those are just
That's
the
not the
people
main
that are
driving
on
force.
on unemployment, collecting unemployment.
First
I
of all,
mean,
if you're making under $15,000, then you're on Medicaid. You're not on Obamacare.
well, you can also get plans on the market on the
Look,
marketplace.
what Obamacare is good for, and this is all really complicated. Like, but what Obamacare is good for is people that don't qualify for entitlement programs like Medicare and Medicaid, and also don't get government or don't get plans through their work, and make under like 100, say $100,000. Okay, that's usually who gets the Obamacare plans.
Yeah, and they're fucking expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive, but healthcare is expensive.
It was literally cheaper when it wasn't on there.
Yeah, again, healthcare costs have ballooned, and
So the
because
marketplace, the government intervening, literally increased the prices. I thought it didn't increase the prices.
look, of course, healthcare costs are going to go up when more things are covered by insurance.
When more things are covered by insurance. You mean when more
Because
people buy
because
insurance?
yes, because people couldn't
So
be
then why
denied.
should we let illegal alien immigrants get free health insurance?
Why should they don't get free health insurance?
In California, Medi-Cali, it's 63% federally funded, and the rest is funded by the state.
And okay, so in one state, some
Colorado, Washington, New Jersey, New York. Should we keep going?
immigrants are getting. We can look into this, but
I've already looked
are
into it.
immigrants
Undocumented
are
immigrants are getting. I mean, they
undocumented
got rid of
immigrants.
it, and they got rid of it with the big beautiful bill, so it's not happening in
Are you talking about
2026.
like yeah, this is being um
It was in a big beautiful bill. Trump got rid of it, so it's not happening anymore in 2026.
okay. Let's see.
Look up Medi-Cal. Look up Medi-Cal. You
Yeah,
can
but
start there.
I'm pretty sure that all the that none of the federal funds were allowed to go to
No,
undocumented
63% of the
immigrants.
federal funds go towards it.
Yeah, but none of those went to undocumented immigrants.
Well, those are insurance plans that could have otherwise gone towards U.S.
Yeah, but
citizens. You
none of
can
the
mix the
federally
money
funded
around. You can say technically we didn't touch this money for that money, but all those
because
insurance plans could have gone to U.S.
no,
citizens.
but the
That
the
is
amount that
semantics. You
the
can't just
amount
move
that
money around and say
no
this money didn't.
no
This money is not the federal money, even though they all put it in this in a bunch of different bank accounts. What's the difference?
because the amount of money that they get from the federal government is dependent on the amount of money that gets paid in by citizens and by the number of documented citizens that they have. So
It
they're
doesn't
not.
even matter if the money comes from anywhere anyway, because they only have a certain amount of
It does.
plans they can give out.
It does matter because
They have a
you
certain
can't say
amount of
that
plans they give out. They refund all the money anyway if they can't fit the amount of plans they have.
they refund the money anyway if they
And if
look.
there's
I'm just
more,
saying
if there's more people applying. If there's more money than there is plans, they can only have like a couple million freaking plans a year there.
the federal government will only put
Like
money
in
in that
Colorado,
goes
there
to
were
their
so many
citizens.
illegal alien immigrants on plans, they couldn't give out any more free state plans.
But all the money that's allocated towards U.S. citizens, they got that went to U.S. citizens. There's no
Huh?
money that was allocated towards U.S. citizens that went to immigrants. There was state funding that
No,
went
that
towards
one was
immigrants.
completely funded
It's
by
all
the
been
state, and some of it went to illegal alien immigrants.
from the specific state, but not from federal funds.
Well, yeah, but that still increases insurance costs for citizens. And we're talking
No,
about
what would increase?
Colorado
No,
now. In
no. What? Okay,
California, there was federal
no,
funds
okay.
involved.
We're
Huh?
jumping states. I don't know every state, but what would increase insurance costs to citizens is
Is
by
more
not
people
having
applying for plans, like you just said 2 seconds
no, no,
ago.
no, no.
You literally agreed to that. You said more people. The fact that they're allowed to go on Obamacare because pre-existing conditions also raises is also the why
no
Obamacare got expensive.
having
The
people
more
on
people joining it
having
raises the price. It's
having
supply and
people
demand, isn't it?
okay, having people on insurance lowers healthcare costs because they're getting preventative care and they're not going to emergency rooms to get expensive
But they're
care.
illegal alien immigrants. They shouldn't be here no matter what. So they shouldn't be getting any care.
You can make that argument, but I'm just saying that no
It's
federal
not an
that
argument. It's the truth. Legally, they
that no
shouldn't be here at all.
no federal dollars are going towards health
I
insurance
don't care
costs
if
for
it's
illegal
federal or
immigrants.
state. Those are our taxpayer dollars. It's supposed to
But
go towards American
but
citizens, not
as a
illegal alien immigrant scum.
as a Floridian, you can say that I don't. You can move to Florida and not have to worry about any of your dollars at all going towards immigrant healthcare, right?
What? No, because it's still going. It's still going in California, and it's not
It's not.
about me.
Not
It's
even,
about the
no,
country. That it's not
because none of
about
your
me. It's
federal
about the country. At the end of the day,
so if a state wanted to say,
and
hey,
it's
I
about
want to
the
give
people.
so if a state so you don't think that states should have the right to say no matter to have a state law
No,
that
they
says
shouldn't give away federal dollars to illegal alien
they're not
immigrants. No, they shouldn't.
no federal dollars go to health insurance plans for illegal immigrants.
I told you in California, 65% of it does. But I
No,
don't care if it's
but
federal or
all those
state.
dollars go
No
all those dollars
U.S.
go to citizens.
citizens' money should go towards criminals. Is it hard to understand?
Okay, you keep switching between federal dollars and state
I
dollars.
said federal or state. It doesn't
I know,
matter
but
if it's federal
I think
or
there's a difference.
state.
I think that there's a difference. If you want to live
There
in the
is no
state,
difference. It's our taxpayer dollars. It doesn't belong in criminals' hands because they're the scum of the earth.
they're the scum of the earth. Okay, all right,
Yes, it is.
you can have that thought. I think
Illegal
that's very
alien
emotional
immigrants
and
are not good
irrational.
people. They all
That's not true.
cower, they hide in their houses, they're scared to come out. They know they broke the law, they don't turn themselves in. They don't snitch on other illegal alien immigrants that
All
are
right,
raping and murdering in their communities.
all right. Hey, if you want to have that, if you want to, we can argue about immigration now.
They
We can move
don't
off
do
healthcare.
anything that's a net positive.
Okay, so wait, let's are you going to draw the line and say, okay, we're not going to talk about healthcare anymore, and we can move on to immigration?
I
Because I
mean,
don't
what
want
else is there to say about healthcare?
I don't know. I mean, I
All
think
the
I'm.
government systems that we've tried have failed. Why are we going to socialize it more? That makes no sense.
Why are we going to socialize healthcare more or immigration more? What are we? I just don't want to keep like jumping back and
The
forth between
difference is
immigration and
that
healthcare.
you're okay with paying 20% more taxes and I'm not. That's where our differences come at.
I'm in favor of lowering the overall net expenditure of health and towards healthcare in the country
Well, I'm
by a
not for
substantial amount.
raising my taxes, so
Okay, all right,
that's
fine.
just where we
All right, we
just
can.
disagree at. And also, I have not seen any studies where it's lowering the expenditures.
You're not seeing any studies where it lowers
The
expenditures.
only way you can lower the expenditures if you force the private company to charge whatever you say you want it to charge, and
No,
they're gonna
because it's not a
damn near
private
be
company.
losing money, huh?
Because it's going to be
Yeah, you're
again
gonna
like
take it over by the government, and then you're gonna force them to basically lose money. How long is that gonna last for?
it's not. You're going to be privatizing the market. Same thing with like utility companies. Utility companies are privatized, right? And we fund them through our tax dollars. And sometimes the rates will go up, sometimes the rates will go down. If we invade a country, the rates might
You're
go up.
telling me there's not private electric companies?
No, private utility companies are almost always done through the government.
Well, they exist though.
Private utility companies,
Yeah.
I'm sure you might be able to find one or two, but almost every utility company is funded through the
And that
governments.
doesn't work out either, but this isn't a utilities debate.
It's a similar debate because it's man it's like it's a necessity for life. Is how most liberals would argue it. How I think of it. Just like you can't live without water, you can't live without healthcare.
Yeah, you can.
You will die pretty quick.
No, you won't.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
don't know. If you want to get into an argument about
even if you
people's
don't have
health,
health care, you can get emergency Medicaid or Medicare, whatever it's called.
yeah, and by getting emergency services, that's what drives the healthcare costs up. So that's why we want
Then we
people.
shouldn't let illegal alien immigrants use those
No,
emergency
no, that's why I'm saying
services.
we should get illegal
We should
immigrants on
deport
healthcare.
every single illegal alien immigrant and force them to pay that our healthcare
You
costs.
get so riled up. It's so funny
We
because you're
should
like very
force
calm
them to
whenever we're
pay our
talking about
healthcare
healthcare,
costs.
and
Is
then you
that
get
true?
so emotional talking about illegal immigrants.
Just because I'm raising my voice with enthusiasm doesn't mean I'm emotional.
Yeah, because
MAGA,
like
but saying
we don't want
illegal
this like
immigrants are a net negative is wild. Any illegal probably produces more GDP than your ignorant ass. GDP does not increase the quality of living in a country.
conservatives don't like talking about GDP anymore because that used to be like the big neocon talking point was GDP, and now it's not good for them anymore, so they don't talk about it.
No, GDP just doesn't like. I don't know if you want to call me a
What's the
neocon or whatever you just called me, but I'm not none of that. I never would advocate
what
and say that GDP increases quality of living.
what's a better measurement? I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying it's like a one-to-one measurement, but if we're going to measure the
Well,
output of the
GDP per
economy, GDP is pretty
capita
good.
is a
Yeah,
better.
which
A legal alien
okay,
lower that.
illegal aliens lower GDP per capita.
Yeah, because they make less than the average salary, most of them.
Um, I don't know. I
You
won't fight you
don't
on that,
know if
but
illegal alien immigrants make less money. They do.
I'm not going to fight you on that. But I don't know that for sure. I'd say 60-40 on that. I agree. My
GDP
intuition.
does not increase quality of living and like at all. GDP just makes no sense. GDP does
GDP.
not show the standard of living. That's a retarded argument. Look at India. They have a higher GDP than the UK. Their quality of living is a lot less. GDP that does not measure the quality of living in a country.
You're right. It's not a measurement of quality of living. It's a measurement of gross domestic output.
Yeah.
But it's still an indicator of how your overall economy is doing. Like if one year the GDP drops from the previous year, it's probably a good indicator that the economy didn't do as well that year.
Well, look who doesn't have any illegal alien immigrants and has the fastest growing GDP percentage wise in Europe is Poland.
Okay.
And they don't have mass illegal alien immigration. In fact,
Okay.
they don't have regular mass immigration.
What's
So
that? They don't have regular mass immigration?
not on a
I don't
high
know,
level.
man. I
Out of
have a really good
Poland.
friend that's I have a really good friend that's Polish, and she went back to Poland last year, and that was not doing great. She was happy to be back.
What do you mean not doing great?
That for one, they're super worried about Russia. Two, the economy has been like she was super happy to be back in America because the standard of living is so much higher here. I don't know,
Yeah,
several
I'm not
things.
going to argue with that. But the
Okay, I
GDP is
mean,
the fastest growing in Europe.
okay, I mean, I'm sure you can look at like African countries that have faster growing GDPs than
No African country has faster growing GDP.
if you're starting with a low, if you're
They don't
starting with
even
a
have
low,
GDP. They have a mud hut.
I'm saying you can if you have it's a lot easier to start with a low GDP and grow it faster because you're starting from a small amount, so the percentage growth
Well, they just
is
don't have
easier.
a percentage growth higher. You say illegals even though Americans stole it. What did Americans steal? It's conquered land, not stolen land.
Yeah, we got
If
our
on Discord, add me. Why do you want me to add you on Discord? I don't know why you want to add me on Discord. What do you want to debate
so
or
okay.
something?
So here's my if we want to talk about immigration, we can. But here's my thing, and I because I genuinely, and you can mock me as being like a soy lib or whatever, but I genuinely think that conservatives like talking about the good that immigrants do, and we can argue about if it's a net good or a net bad, but I never hear conservatives now talk about the good that immigrants do. Okay. And so I think that of course you can say like, okay, if one immigrant kills one American citizen, then that's terrible and that should have never happened. And look, it's hard to disagree with that, but everything in life is a pro and a con, and that
And
we
there
got
are far
derailed
more
earlier when we were
cons for
talking.
illegal alien immigrants than there are pros.
Okay, and
Immigrants and
that's where I think
illegal alien immigrants, they can't be mixed in a single jar. I'm fine with immigrants, just not illegal alien criminals.
okay, okay. So here's a question for you. If one president sets up a system and says, hey, in order to come here legally, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and everyone comes and does X, Y, and Z, and then the next president says, hey, if you did X, Y, and Z, you're now illegal. That doesn't count anymore. Okay, what are those people, legal immigrants or illegal immigrants in your opinion?
If they're on a temporary stay and the temporary stay is revoked, they're illegal criminals and they should know that their stay was only temporary because when they got their visa issued, it was said temporary on it. And they should know that they're not going to be here forever unless they somehow go through the legal process of getting a citizenship. It's that simple.
So
Is it
if they
complicated?
started by doing the legal process, it just sounds like you're like talking yourself in circles where you say,
No,
okay,
I'm
I
not
only
talking
want
myself in circles. You just go through
I
the
only
legal process.
because they went through the legal process and then Trump changed what that legal process was. They said if you
No,
came
they
by the
didn't go through
CBP,
the legal
yeah,
process. A
most
temporary visa is not a citizenship.
I'm
You
not saying
said
it's
you lived in
citizenship.
the other countries. You don't differentiate between a a citizenship and a visa?
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying that if while I was living abroad, if somebody changed the rules around my visa, okay,
That's
and
not what happened. That's
didn't
not the
tell,
same
yeah, it was,
story.
it was. They
No,
came,
it's not.
they came
If you
through
get a visa
several.
and they say this is temporary, we don't know how long it's going to last. Probably at least a year or maybe 2 years, but it can be revoked at any time. It's a temporary visa, and then they revoke it. I'm going to say, okay, I have to go back home. Is that hard to figure out? It says temporary visa on it.
No, but I think that if you're going to draw a moral line around if that person is a criminal or not, when
It was
when
never a
when
citizenship. It was a visa that was
I'm not saying that they're
temporary.
citizens. I'm saying that the government, that the United States government told them something to do, right? They did it, and then suddenly the rules are changed, and now they're
The
classified
rules
as
aren't
illegal.
changed. They have to
And
go when
you
they're asked to leave
and,
because they're no longer welcomed. Is
and
that
you
so hard to imagine?
no, it's
So if
not hard
you're
to imagine,
leaving your home,
but if you're
if I'm leaving
but
your
you're
home, you
saying,
say, "Oh,
but
you can
no,
stay
it's
at
just
my home." And you don't tell me the time period. You say you can stay here for a little bit, but I don't know exactly when you can leave. You can stay here for however long you want. And I stay there for 2 years, and after 2 years, you say, "Okay, can you please get the fuck out of my house? You've been living here for 2 years." Are you all of a sudden changing the rules, or did you tell me it was a temporary stay, or is that supposed to become my house now? Is your house
no, it's
supposed to
not.
become my house?
No, first of all, if you have a limited amount of resources and space, like a house, then maybe. But if that person
Yes, our
comes and
country
says,
is limited resources. We
no,
have a
our
limited
government,
amount of tax
our,
dollars.
our,
Only
our
a certain amount of people can get these free state insurances.
there, again, immigrants, and we can argue, you can argue about this, but immigrants, according to that Cato study, and you're going to argue with me about it, but immigrants are net tax benefiters to the country.
I can show
Okay,
you the Cato numbers right here. I've looked at these
all right,
numbers
let's
literally
pull it up.
hundreds of times before. So if you want me to
Pull them
show
up.
you how much they pay, I can show you. How much taxes do illegals pay? Cato. You might be looking at a study that talks about legal immigrants, but if you just look at the amount of taxes they pay versus the amount of taxes they take, you can see it's a net negative.
Let's pull it up. And again, this is already assuming that like if we were to get them in a more like in a more legal status, I'm not saying give them citizenship, okay, but if we're to do something that gets them uh, to where they can be here legally for and have a legal process that works towards citizenship, then that tax revenue is going to go way up.
Even it says right here, Cato Institute estimates in 20 and 19 years between 1994 and 2023 that illegal alien immigrants, you know, created a deficit. Hold on, let
It
me
doesn't
pull up
seem,
per.
it doesn't seem like it says that because it seems like if you said that, then you would have read that.
I did read that.
Here, let me pull up my laptop.
Cato taxes. How much benefits do illegals take? What did Jonathan say? Jonathan said Trump is great, but ignorance like you are trash. What negative positive, net positive have you brought to this country? You were just born here. Well, first off,
Ooh,
I've created this platform, and I've also done countless other things. And plus,
so,
I've never
so
taken $1 of government subsidies ever, and I've paid
so wait.
taxes. So there you go.
Okay, good job. And this is the AI overview, so all the AI stuff out of the way.
I want you to
According to
look up this specific question.
wait,
The only
according
thing that matters is how much they've paid versus they've taken.
okay, look, here's what I googled. Is it gonna change my camera? I've never done this before. I don't know if I can switch. But it says according to a 2026 Cato Institute study, immigrants, including documented and undocumented, have been net contributors to the U.S. government finances every year from 94 to 2023, paying more in taxes than they received in benefits. This cumulative fiscal surplus, which includes reduced interest on national debt, is estimated at 14.5 trillion, effectively lowering the deficit.
Hello?
You still there?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How much
Okay.
taxes do they take out of the system? Because I have an article that says
They
451 billion a year. I
they
can
they
find on Cato, but I found on I have all my other sources.
in from
This is
94 to
from Homeland
23
Security.
from 94 to 23, immigrants paid 10.6 trillion more in taxes than they consumed in benefits.
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
That's not what it says. It says they paid total taxes. It does not say they're a net positive. But I'm going to send you my articles because I have a million different
Send me your
articles.
article. Send me your
And I
article.
want to know
Um,
how much per year they take in benefits. I'm on my
This this
system,
this
so I
this
can't
Cato
find it.
this 2026 Cato study looks at, and to be fair, you're right. This is both legal and illegal immigrants.
Exactly. You can't combine legals and illegals. Elon Musk is a legal immigrant. You're gonna pin him in this number of groupings?
Well, we can look at illegal, but it does get tricky when you start changing their legal status. Undocumented immigrants are estimated to have generated a minimum of 1.77 trillion uh, in cumulative deficit reduction over the 30-year period. So if you just look at, and this is all AI, so everyone, get your AI. Like, I'm not saying you should take this as fact, but this AI search says that undocumented immigrants are estimated to have generated a minimum of 1.7 trillion in cumulative deficit reduction over the 30-year period.
It
So if
says
we
right
just,
here, I have my source from the House of Representatives. I sent you that says they take up $451 billion a year from our taxpayer system. I had the Federal Oration for American Immigration Reform, the FAIR. I don't know if you heard of them before. They say that undocumented immigrants take or a net cost to taxpayers from around 116 billion to 150 billion annually.
look, we can look over this more. Um, but if we're looking at Cato,
There's not a single study that says that specifically talks about illegals that says they're
yeah,
net positive.
this does say the Cato's
It's
2026
talking
study.
about legal immigrants.
No,
You
no, no,
can't
no,
mix
no,
up
no, no.
legal
I looked.
immigrants in
I
there.
In this study it says undocumented or illegal immigrants have estimated to have generated a minimum 1.7 trillion in cumulative deficit reduction. Okay, that
That's
means they're
including
lowering.
legal immigrants. You already
No,
admitted
no,
to that.
no. It says undocumented. No, if you include documented or legal, it was like 14 trillion. If you just look at undocumented, it's 1.7 trillion in deficit reduction.
No, that's not deficit reduction. That's total amount of
That's
tax.
what that's what it says right here.
They add to the
Undocumented
deficit.
undocumented immigrants are
Send the
estimated to have
article
generated.
again to me. Send the whole entire article on
Okay, all
Discord
right, okay.
because there's no
And
article
look,
like that.
it's a 2026 study. So if you haven't read it yet, like I'm
Not even
not
paying
like,
taxes, and they take up a fuck ton of welfare.
and they also produce a lot.
No, they don't.
They do.
Their
Okay,
average
so
salary is a
so
lot lower. No, they don't.
okay, all right. So would this change your mind if they do, if the study is correct, if they are net contributors to society and to our tax, specifically to our tax.
But they
Uh,
aren't. There's nothing you'll
okay,
find that
so
says
wait.
that.
Okay, first of all, this Cato study is saying that, but let's just say if you accept that, would that change your mind? And it's okay if it
No,
doesn't. You
because it's
can you
not
can say
true. And no, because
okay.
if they do, even if they are net positive, they shouldn't be here because they broke the law. They're criminals. They're pieces of shit.
So you can say that you can say even if they are net contributors to taxes
They're
and even
not
if they
net
do slightly,
contributors, though.
hey,
We have
dude,
20 of them
what,
living
what's
in one
what's the, what's the
house. None
meaning?
of them pay
What's the
taxes. They're not net
what's the
contributors.
okay? All right. So
Literally less than 20% of them pay federal income
but,
taxes.
like I'm just wondering how hard I should hit this because if it's not going to change your mind either way,
Each
then
illegal alien immigrant kid costs $15,000 per kid in the public school system.
yeah.
That
But guess
means
what?
if they have 5 kids, that costs what?
5 times 60,
Five
sixty
times
thousand.
18, actually. It costs 5 times 18.
5 times 18. Uh,
That's like 60,000 fucking
75.
dollars a year just for the
What's that?
kids to go to school and they shouldn't even be in this fucking country.
Okay, look, we can.
So, no, they're not a net positive.
So that's what I'm saying. If they do just based on our tax base, if they do contribute more than they take, would you now be a supporter of
No, the
immigration?
Federation for American Immigration says they're a net annual cost to taxpayers by 135 billion.
When was that? Look, we can argue back and forth. Like I'm just wondering if it's worth arguing because if it's not going to change your mind, then I don't know how much we want to argue about it.
Well, if they commit a crime, should they not be punished
Because
for it? Now, just because you
look,
disagree with the crime, they
no,
shouldn't
no,
be punished for it.
I think, look, here's the thing, because it wouldn't change my mind if they're barely net, if they barely take in more tax than they pay
It's
right
not
now.
even
It
close.
doesn't really change my mind that much. It's okay if it's not going to change your mind. I'm not trying to do like a gotcha because it wouldn't change my mind if it was like, you know, if they're barely, I just sent this to you, but if they're barely net, like take more than they give or whatever right now, then it wouldn't really change my stance. So I'm not trying to be like, oh, I gotcha, you need to change your
Go to the
immigration.
main channel. I tagged you. You're on your favorite liberal. That's Homeland Security.
Uh, where, on the main channel, I'm not seeing. Oh, MAGA versus liberal.
That's the Homeland Security Committee.
Um, it's not it's Homeland Security Republicans. This looks like some.
Yes,
And this was in 2023. So this isn't like a government study. This is,
it is a government
and
study. It's done
you
by
know this isn't
government
either.
officials. It's done by the Committee of Homeland Security
Oh,
Chairman
U.S. House.
Andrew Garbarino.
Okay, all right. So it's like some house study or something. Yeah, I mean it's not going to surprise me that a Republican committee put together something that looks bad for immigration.
It's not that it looks bad. It is bad. Illegal alien immigrants are the criminal scum of the earth. I mean, what does it take you to convince it? 98% of all articles out there, if not 100% of them out there, say that they're a net negative to the taxpayer system.
Okay, look, I just
And
sent you the Cato.
considering the fact that most American citizens are also literally a net negative to the taxpayer system, they likely are. If American fucking citizens are net negatives, the majority of them, then why the fuck wouldn't illegal alien immigrants? I mean, it's just common logic. But the difference
Because
is
maybe
American
because
citizens deserve
immigrants
to
work
be in
harder
this
than American
country.
citizens.
Huh?
Like, I'm just saying from personal experience, immigrants work harder than most American
No,
citizens.
they don't. I'm just saying from personal
All right.
experience, they fuck up and they don't care about the quality of their job.
Okay. I mean, I've lived
They
around
don't
and
care
worked
about the
with a
quality
lot
of
of.
their job. They're lazy.
All right. You can think that. I'm not. I obviously can't change
Why
your
are
mind about
all
that.
the fucking CEOs Americans? I don't see fucking any illegal alien immigrant billionaires.
You just isn't like Elon Musk like your hero or something? You've name dropped
Immigrant.
him like
He's
10 times.
a legal immigrant.
I'm pretty sure he was here illegally for a long time.
How is he illegal? What evidence of that do you have? That's a lie. That's a Democrat lie.
All right. Let's see. Let's see.
You can look it
Uh,
up. He might have worked on a student visa, but he wasn't here illegally. He had a visa.
Reports suggest Elon Musk worked illegally in the United States in '95 after dropping out of Stanford graduate program for which was a student visa to launch his first company, Zip2.
Yeah, there's no evidence of that, and also
All right, all right, all right.
that's
Look,
him literally being. That's
if you
still not him. He would still be
if
here legally because he was still on a visa.
if you look at how many amazing American companies, proud American companies, are started by immigrants, and
Legal
most of them are
immigrants. You don't confuse legal immigrants with criminal
some
fucking
of them
scum that send
some
all
of
their money back to Mexico. Fuck that.
some of them legal, some of them illegal. Okay, like Elon Musk, looks like you dropped out of
He
school and
was
stayed on a
legal.
student
There's
visa.
no evidence. This is just bullshit Democrat conspiracy
All
theories.
right, all right. I'm sorry I'm triggering you, man.
You're not triggering me. It's like, what the fuck?
I
You're
got
just gonna
triggered.
say shit? Joe Biden had a hooker that was 3 years old in his lap, and he was fucking her on camera on live television. Now we're gonna make up shit now? Or maybe that was real because the Republican Party said it was real.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
that what we're
sure.
gonna say now? We're gonna make up shit? What about
Look,
billionaires? Billionaires deserve their money.
all right. Look, I've lived around, worked around, taught
I've
tons of
lived
illegal
more
immigrants.
around illegal alien immigrants than you. And they're
Okay.
the scum of the fucking earth. Some MS-13 members threatened to kill me. They should all get deported. Fuck all the illegal alien
Yeah, for
immigrants.
sure, for sure.
They're
Get the
criminals.
MS-13 meetings out.
They are
Yeah,
fucking
look,
criminals.
if ICE were going around deporting MS-13, God bless them.
What do you want to talk about, vegan running? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to say? If y'all in the comment sections want to say anything, drop some super chat questions or comments.
Yeah, let's do
I'm
that. I
just
got a
glad the
problem.
immigrants stole my friend's fucking job. They stole
Oh
a
yeah,
fuck ton of jobs in Florida.
those immigrants that don't work that hard are just stealing us, white
Yeah, because
American
they work
jobs.
for cheaper. They'll say, "Well, we might be lazy as fuck, but we'll work for
Hey,
$3 an hour."
hey, you're Mr. Laissez-faire labor force. If somebody is willing to work that for that money or work that job for that amount of money,
They are though.
yeah. So
They come
you
here
spent the first hour of
legally
our
and
conversation
kill them.
defending. You spent our first hour of our conversation defending if a company can get a person to work for that pay, then they should pay it.
Well, they should follow federal minimum wage.
Okay,
Like
right.
they should be
So
forced to pay minimum wage. It's like that fucking simple. Why do you think we have federal minimum wage? We
we
should
spent the morning.
follow federal minimum wage, and if someone comes here illegally and works under the minimum wage, they should be deported. Like it's the laws that we live under right now. Like how is it confusing? How is it difficult to understand? Is it just the Democrat mind can't understand
Not
American laws?
I'm not having any trouble understanding American laws.
Well, I feel like some of
I
the
don't
people in the comment section might.
okay. All right.
They should be paid the minimum wage in their area.
I agree. And I think we should raise that minimum
And
wage.
if they're here illegally, then y'all Democrats are just trying to bring back slavery.
No Democrat wants to bring back slavery.
Y'all basically did bring back slavery with illegal alien immigrants. Who's gonna pick your crops? Remember
No
that when
illegal
you
immigrant is
remember that when before you guys killed Abraham Lincoln, you said who's gonna pick my crops?
before. You're talking about slaves now. You're talking about like the 1840
Yeah, before y'all
Republican
killed
Party.
Abraham Lincoln, you said who's gonna pick
Yeah,
my crops because the Democrats wanted slaves.
yeah, yeah. Good point. I don't know. I don't know how you want me to answer for Democrats 160 years ago.
Well, I mean,
Good
there's
point.
nothing to say that Democrats have been murderous since forever,
Yeah.
since we came along.
All right. Let's say I don't know if you do questions or what. It's getting late, so I'm open to answering some questions, doing like a lightning round or doing super
All right,
chats
if
or
y'all
whatever.
have any lightning round questions in the comment section, drop some super chats. Wayne added no one in. Unless you drop me 5 memberships or something, then you can join in. But other than that, no. Just let me know some lightning fast questions. There's nothing here. Stop cutting off your kids, Peters, lunatic, liberal, leftist, radicals, trans, Tifa, weirdos.
True.
Do you think
True.
15-year-olds should be able to transition?
15-year-olds? No,
Yeah.
no. Like especially not like surgically or
Hormones or no?
probably not.
Get rid of that. No, that's anti-Semitic. I'm not reading that. Yeah, 15-year-olds do transition. There's laws for it. Even if you want to make the ridiculous argument that it was only like one person, which that's not true, it still has happened before. So you wouldn't date a trans woman?
I wouldn't do, probably not. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, I'm married, 4 kids, happily, so no. In an alternate reality where I wasn't married, if she was like, if the trans person was totally passing and I had no idea and like fell in love with them, I don't know. Like that's a probably I feel pretty. I'd
Wow,
feel
bro
pretty
went right in. He
betrayed.
didn't even know. He didn't even know that I was. He didn't even know it was a dude. He just fell in love with it instantly. Now he's with a trans.
I'm talking about like that, like we were talking about All Sunny in Philadelphia episode. Like if you have something that's totally passing, and then you're like,
Oh, there's no one passing, dude. There's no one fucking
"There's no
passing.
one passing." All right.
No, no,
I would
Cassie.
not be interested to going into a relationship knowing that someone was trans.
Skippy, you
Um,
would get with someone that was trans too. All you liberals would get with someone that's
no,
trans.
I'm saying I would if that was I would probably not be interested in entering a
If
relationship.
y'all got any questions or comments you want to ask before we hop out of here, drop some super chats.
Who's this? Who's that onion? He's willing to pay you cash to enter the debate. Does he want? If he wants me
If
to
you
stay
want to
on,
get at it, drop me a $50, brother. $50. That's a discount. We charge one guy $200. You're
does he
not
want to read me or you?
not conservative like that. 55. $50. You ever talk to Skifty 55?
Me? The first time I talked to you, that was in your chat
Oh, you
earlier
didn't talk
today.
to 55?
It was at the woman in the chat earlier today.
No, no, that was GGB. What are they saying? What are they saying? Oh, 55. Any final questions for him? Let's see. How many genders are there? Oh,
Oh, it switched my my camera around randomly. How many genders are
what
there?
fucking campaign are you talking about? What are you gonna go on a fucking political campaign with $50?
Uh, sorry. So, do you want me to answer the gender question thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's generally two genders.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean,
you're gonna have a lot
you
of
can
heat
get some
from that.
you can get into some pretty tricky situations like that boxer from that was in the Olympics or that was in that sporting event a couple years ago.
How old are you? You're saying you're running for state Republican?
Me? Sorry,
No, that other guy.
you're
If that's
breaking my
really
tires.
true, we'll try for $25. We'll try for $25. That boxer was a woman? No, that was probably a man, dude.
But people with that condition can get pregnant, so I don't know.
What do you mean it got pregnant?
People with the condition that that boxer had, that conservatives say makes them a man, they can get pregnant with that condition.
What, a
But I don't know
hermaphrodite
about
we
that.
talking about?
No, it was like a chromosomal abnormality, and people with that condition can get pregnant. So if they were a man and can get pregnant, well, it
What the
seems kind
fuck
of
is this
fishy.
condition called? I feel like you're bullshitting me.
I don't know. It's been a while since I looked into it. It was some weird
Alright,
name.
that's nifty.
Look
Alright,
it up.
20, brother, 20. A
Was it
boxer was
hormone
born
imbalance?
a woman but had high levels of testosterone. What the
I think
fuck?
there is
I didn't
some
even know about this
underlying.
condition.
I think there was an underlying condition, like a chromosomal condition, which is why Russia banned her or whatever. But again, people with whatever condition he or she or whatever had was they can get people can get pregnant while having that condition.
So they're basically like what is it called? A seahorse.
I don't know what that is.
A seahorse where the man gets pregnant?
I'm sure. Oh, a
Oh, here we
seahorse.
go.
A
Here we go.
seahorse.
Here's a good one. You need ovaries. Balls where your ovaries should be. No one need an egg to get pregnant. Liberals dumbass.
Yeah, nice one. Look, I'm just saying that like you're like I don't have a problem with saying that
You
there's like two
need to
genders.
have fucking ovaries, not balls. You have to have fucking eggs. So how the fuck is it a man? You can't get pregnant unless you have all the fucking
I know,
parts. What the fuck are we talking about right now?
conservatives spent like weeks arguing that that person was a man, but people with that condition can get pregnant because they have ovaries and working
Well,
reproductive
either it
systems.
doesn't if that person can get pregnant and they have and they don't have a penis unless they're fucking
I
hermaphrodite,
know,
they can't,
I
they
know,
must be a woman.
which is why I think it's kind of silly because you can argue that they have all these characteristics.
What's your name in the Discord? I think this guy wants to say something to you before you hop off. So what's your Discord?
My Discord,
Oh, I found him. His name is Teddy Roosevelt, something like that. Hold on, hold on, hold on. What did he say? They have balls in their ovaries, can't get pregnant. What show has the power to heal a nation?
Power to Heal a Nation. I don't know, man. Game of Thrones did a pretty good job while it was running before
I'm
season.
calling you Mr. Teddy Roosevelt.
You're calling who? Oh,
English teacher? The guy that wanted to talk to you. I don't know that show.
English teacher. I don't know it either.
He didn't
If
join.
they if they want, I don't want to debate about trans stuff. If that's what they want to
He
argue with
doesn't
me
want to
about.
debate about trans stuff, I don't think. But hold on, don't leave 1 second. Let me
Yeah,
refresh.
I'll stick around. I'm just saying, like I'm.
I'm calling you. Now for me it's just black. Are you there? Oh, I see you. I don't know if I can hear you. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you all hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. I don't know about anyone else.
You didn't say anything for the longest fucking time. I don't know where this guy
Sorry,
is.
sorry. I was reading chats.
Do y'all have any other final questions or comments? It's super artificial. They're discovering not the worlds.
All right. My kid just woke up, so
Dude, stop fucking calling me.
I'm happy to argue with anyone on your Discord in the morning. So just
Yeah, this
uh,
guy's not answering me anyway.
okay. All right.
I'll let
Hey,
you
this
go.
was
Have a
fun.
good night,
This
man.
is the first time I've
Appreciate
ever
it.
done anything like this. So um,
Yeah,
I,
next time when
I,
I'm not so tired, we can have a better debate.
all right, all right. I have a brother that's super MAGA, so maybe you guys can 2v1 me.
Uh, we have other people we can debate with, but yeah. All right, talk to you, man. Have a good night.
All right. See ya.
It won't go through. I answered. I'll try again. If not, I'm willing to let you have a whole episode tomorrow if it doesn't answer. Should have listened to his brother. I agree. Mr. Vegan, it's 4 in the morning. I'm going to bed. Unless you're willing to drop me like a $20 super chat, then we can get you in. I don't even calling me. Stop fucking calling me. Fucking stop. Thank you. I'm not gonna answer when you keep calling me, dude. Why would you want me to block you? You can come on another time. I'm literally about to end it. I don't know what the issue is. I think Discord is broken right now, but it's 4 in the morning, y'all. Can I get a break? Can we agree to reschedule tomorrow since it's literally just not working? Yeah, Discord has been fucked up today. It's just not working. He's literally agreeing to it. He's trying to call me too. Voice and call? I want to have you on, Mr. Vegan Runs. Tomorrow or this weekend, I can have you on. I'm literally calling him and he's calling me at the same time. It's not connecting. He's the one that's saying it's not working for him. Oh, y'all are fucking angry Democrats. I completely understand it. I'm not running. He has my Discord. I'm a man of my word. You will see that man on there tomorrow. It's actually a federal misdemeanor, and you're right, it is a crime. We're gonna try to call him one more time. If it doesn't connect this time, we're out of here. Sorry, brother. Yeah, not working. All right, man. It's not working at all. I hope we can do it tomorrow, brother. I don't know if you're still out there. You can't refund someone on here, but he's gonna get put on. So, probably tomorrow. Wow, y'all really salty. Salty, salty, salty. Bye bye. I've tried to call him one, two, three, four, five, 6 times. I even messaged him twice. So yeah, it's 4 in the morning now. He's not able to get on. Later haters. Later haters, guys. Sorry, man. Hello? Yeah, it's not working. Yeah, I'm out of here, guys. Peace. Sorry, man. It's still not working, brother. I think it's on Discord's end. You want me to show the screen? I mean, sure. If you want me to show you the screen, I'll show you the screen. There you go. I think it's on Discord's end, man. Anytime you want tomorrow, just let me know. Peace out, everybody. Have a good evening, though. I appreciate it, man. I didn't forget about you. I promise you. You're on the top of my Discord. Promise, brother. Tomorrow. Peace out, everybody. Have a good night. Much love.